promoted back to League One.
Swindon's plunge from Premier League to basement had been swift, but last season they started the long road back, and manager Paul Sturrock won his 4th promotion in 6 years. Yeovil were 1 game away from becoming a championship club last season, but Wembley proved a bridge too far on their amazing journey led by Russell Slade. An incredible victory over Nottingham Forest, though, in the semi-finals has only whetted their appetite. We're at the county ground. We're in Coca-Cola League One. It is Swindon against Yeovil, live on Sky Sports 1 and HD1, that's channel 408. And we are still in the company of Peter Beagrie and Tommy Mooney. More from those gentlemen in a few moments. Let's have a quick look at the league table. Just 1 point separates these two clubs at the top of League One. Yeovil have lost a game. Swindon are undefeated, but a point separates them in 9th and 10th positions. This is how they'll line up today at the county ground. First of all, Swindon. They make, well, they're unchanged from their last league game against Crewe, but they have a couple of deadline day signings on the bench, Jon-Paul McGovern and Billy Paynter. Swindon make 1 change from their last league game. Yeovil make 1 league change from their last game. Anthony Barry is in, Justin Cochrane is out. Terry Skiverton, their club skipper, is back from injury and he's on the bench. Well, they've had their highs and lows here, and Greg Whelan takes us through the ups and downs of Swindon Football Club.
They've had good times. The highlight was their League Cup triumph in 1969. But fate has dealt Swindon their fair share of ups and downs. Take 1990. Winning the playoffs put the club in the old First Division for the very first time. Or so they thought. As our dealers and his side celebrated, the club was punished for financial irregularities. There would be no promotion this time.
It was a tremendous disappointment in the town, petitions and everything, marches and demonstrations to try and keep the club into the top tier, which they'd fought for virtually 100 years to try and get to.
In 1993, Glenn Hoddle led Swindon to another playoff success, sealed by a Paul Bowden penalty. Within days, Hoddle had joined Chelsea, and Swindon would find the Premier League too steep a hill to climb. They slid back down again, conceding a century of goals along the way.
It's tough. I mean, we didn't win for 16 games, and we won our 17th game. By then, really, the writing was on the wall. But we gave it our best shot. Didn't disgrace ourselves, made a lot of friends, and played some good football as well. So, just disappointed it didn't last a little bit longer.
Another relegation in 1995 signalled the start of their decline.
You wonder what happened to the money. I certainly do. And like I said, the supporters do. Mismanagement, perhaps just not capitalising on what actually came into the club or the potential that could have been brought into the club. But to find ourselves in administration was a big surprise.
6 years after leaving the Premier League, Swindon's future was in doubt.
For fans, that was the biggest fear of the lot, that at some stage the gates were going to be closed and there would be no more football at the county ground.
The situation was grave when former champion jockey and Swindon fan Willie Carson became chairman.
We put money in and saved the club from closing the gates. And may I tell you, we were within 20 minutes of Swindon Town never being a football club ever again.
I want to be around to pick up the pieces.
Dennis Wise and Gus Poyet said they'd relish the challenge. Swindon had become the first former Premier League club to drop right through the divisions. 5 months later, they were gone. So Swindon turned to Sturrock. Last season, he brought them promotion, their first in 11 years.
Hopefully, if he can be given a little bit of money and a bit of time, then I'm sure Paul Sturrock will get this club certainly back into the Championship.
Finally, there is fresh investment. New chairman-to-be Jim Little is part of a £10 million takeover. There's money to buy players. Swindon have made a solid start on their return to League One. They're unbeaten in their first 4 games. There's a good feeling around the county ground again.
We've always been looking for that knight in shining armour, and hopefully we've found somebody who's going to take this club on and take it that way rather than that way.
At Swindon Town, the good times may be distant memories. But with a bit of luck, things could be on the up again.
Well, the next chapter in the story here is a multi-million-pound takeover by a Portuguese consortium. Well, they hope it will be the next chapter. The fans are a little bit confused here.
Very reserved, to be honest. We don't really know enough about the group that have taken over. You just hope everything turns out OK.
I've been coming here for 58 years. It's always needed a cash boost, so anything is better than nothing.
Confused, I think, like a lot of people. We all get a bit wound up about the mystery. Why can't they be more open?
I don't care as long as he's got the money and he can buy us the players to get up where we should be.
We've heard it all before in the past, haven't we? Sort of money sort of becoming available and nothing happens, so let's keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best.
I don't really pay much attention to it, to be honest. I just care about what goes on the pitch, you know.
And hopefully it's going to give us a new injection and lease of life moving forward, take away a lot of the problems and issues that have been hanging over the club for the past few years.
The only thing is we're not really sure where the injection's coming from at the moment, and I think that's the problem with all the supporters at the moment, is they're not knowing.
Tommy Mooney had a great season here, didn't you, Tommy, about 3 years ago? But it always seems to be just around the corner for Swindon, doesn't it?
It always, everything, when you talk about Swindon Town, you know, it's in the shadow of the financial crisis. And, you know, like many of the people around here say, it's been going on many years now. And hopefully, you see, from a club with some fantastic people involved with it, you hope that they can turn it round. And now, if there is an input of better finances or a stronger financial setting, hopefully the club can go on.
You tend to forget, don't you, Peter? You know, Glenn Hoddle, Premier League here. You know, even Dennis Wise, Gus Poyet. You know,
our own Chris Kamara as well for many years when Lou McCarthy's
Steve McMahon was here, wasn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, they've had some you know, big people in football terms come through them doors, and as long as it's genuine investment, what you don't want to do is clubs, we've seen it before, hung out to dry, false promises, and you know, signing players on contracts and not being able to go through with it.
Yeah, they need an investment. I suppose everyone does, Tommy, don't they?
Well, like I say, everybody does, but hopefully this time around, you know, there's often been rumours of it in the last couple of years. The year that I had here, there was rumours of 2 or 3 takeovers in 1 year. It never came to fruition. Hopefully this time around, the people that say they're going to do what they're going to do will do it, and it'll keep everybody happy, because it's a smashing club, and the supporters are great. As much as they'll give me stick all day when I'm sat here, they are great, and they deserve a bit of success.
Well, I hope not. You got 20 goals here, didn't you? But they are arriving. The new boys are arriving. Jim Little is the chairman designate. Out the back door there is Rufus Brevitt. He's sporting director. And José Veiga is emerging from the car now, just there on the edge. He's from the Portuguese consortium. He was president of Benfica.
Well, Jim, you're due to be confirmed as the Swindon chairman shortly. As far as the takeover is concerned, what is the latest state of play? Where are we?
Right. There's some minor paperwork left, but I'm certainly comfortable enough saying that the transaction's complete now. So I think in the coming weeks we'll be able to unfold a lot of what our plans are for the club, including the most important thing, which is introducing José Veiga, who's our new general manager. He was GM at Benfica. We've had a lot of talks with him, and we're lucky to have him.
What specifically will José's role be at the club, therefore?
Well, José will be general manager and a member of the board of directors. So at the highest levels, his job will be to run football at the club. That means working with Paul Sturrock, working with Rufus Brevitt. The entire operation will basically be José's.
Will José be bringing in players as such in that role?
Yeah, I mean, we've already, a lot of people don't know this, but we've already brought in, you know, over 14 players during the trade window for Paul to have a look from a variety of different countries. So I'm sure José is going to contribute to that immensely. He was one of the best agents in Europe and probably one of the best general managers in the world.
Does Paul Sturrock, as the Swindon manager, have your full support?
Yeah, sure. You know, it's winning and a few draws. I'm sure we have to gel and everything like that, but Paul and I talk regularly. So, you know, when things are going well, we're happy.
Why Swindon, Jim, and what are your plans for this football club?
Right, well, I had some, I got jumped by the BBC a little while ago and talked about my plans. You know, we care mostly about the football. That's what our investment is all about. There are some other things that we're going to do, hopefully with redevelopment, but we'll talk about them later on.
Does that involve the ground at all?
It does. You know, hopefully a new stadium. This place is great, but it's a little dusty. So, you know, we're looking at new development. We have development companies working with us and our architects and banks. So it's a long process.
Jim, good luck at Swindon. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good luck indeed. But I didn't hear a ringing endorsement there of Paul Sturrock, did you?
No,
did you detect anything there?
Well, I mean, that's the important thing. The supporters have taken the Paul Sturrock. His achievements last year were absolutely incredible on the budget that he had. And we don't want that undermined. Sometimes you're a victim of your own success. They've come up a division. If they get a couple of shady results and there's a new man in charge and he's already bringing players to the door, how long is it before he's introducing managers and coaches and whatever? So we'll just have to wait and see with that one, I think.
And what the fans want to know is, where's the money, isn't it, basically?
Well, that's it. It's all right talking about bringing new players in. You've got to pay for the new players that come in. I think Paul Sturrock will certainly be the person who brings the people in. He's a strong character. He won't have anybody tell him what to do. And you know, somebody from the boardroom is not somebody that's going to be a judge of talent, and he'll be the one who brings the players in. So I would see that could cause ruction somewhere along the line. They need to get on very well. They need to have an exceptional working relationship. When you've got somebody from not only another country but another style of football that's going to come in now and work with a British manager, there's sometimes that can be different.
There is Rufus Brevet, though, on the board, isn't there? He's sporting director.
He could be pivotal to make this work. You know, he understands the workings of the English game, and that he's played throughout the division. So, you know, that relationship is a good one. If he can build a bond with Sturrock and bridge that gap between the two, then it's important. But I don't think what the fans want to see. They want to see a successful football team on the pitch. They don't want a white elephant of a brand new stand that they can't fill or whatever if they're going down the division. So that investment needs for players on the pitch initially.
Hold on, let's hear from the Swindon manager Paul Sturrock then. He's with Greg Whelan now.
Paul, the takeover of the club is set to be completed in the next few days or so, we believe. To what extent is that good news for you and your players?
Well, obviously it financially safeguards the football club, but in the end there's still obviously a lot of discussions to have with the new people. Make sure that we're all on the same wavelength.
Have you had a chance to have those discussions with them at this stage?
Yes, I'm saying we've had a couple of meetings and generalised on things, you know, and obviously we've brought in 2 or 3 players, which has enabled me to strengthen the squad. So, but as I said, you know, we want to make sure now we're kicking on in the right direction. I want Swindon to go as far as it can.
The investment is good news, of course, but to what extent do you feel it raises the bar here in terms of expectations?
Well, expectations were obviously to stay in the league this year, and in the end that's what the squad was built around, you know. But to be fair, our performances in the start of the season has been very, very good, and we've probably been disappointed maybe not to take more pointage than we have, but we're very hopeful that hand in hand with the new owners we can progress the football club further than just staying up.
As a newly promoted side, how tough a test you face today against Yeovil?
Good manager, good club, good players. You know, to finish up in the playoff position last year was fantastic for the size of Yeovil. But to be fair to them, you know, they moved a few players on. They brought some decent players in. There's still a decent football side. They've got dangerous players that can hurt you.
Thanks, Paul.
Cheers.
We'll have to iron out a few problems, Paul says.
Well, if they've been speaking regularly on the phone, it obviously hasn't been about the takeover, has it? So, yeah, a bit of a contradiction there, but... Yeah,
he doesn't exactly look enthusiastic about it, does he?
You don't get that impression, do you, really? But you can't deny Paul's record, can you? 4 promotions in 6 years. He's got the knack, hasn't he?
Oh, it's fantastic. And, you know, as a manager, you can do no more than be promoted out of the division you're playing in. And 4 in 6 years, I wouldn't think there'd be too many better than that. Yeah. And certainly he's just been promoted now from League 2 last season. He's not resting on his laurels. He wants to push, and I'm sure he wants his 5th in 7 years. So more cash will help that, hopefully. It's up to him to bring in the right players with the cash that they give him.
Lee Peacock has the number 4 shirt, and he has dabbled with midfield, hasn't he? But he's really a target man, isn't he?
He's a target man, a striker, big, uncompromising, physical. He has this great knack of pulling off the shoulder of centre-halves and getting marked by full-backs, where he's got that terrific height advantage. And he's a very, very good target man.
Knocks him about a bit, Tommy, doesn't he? But
he does
score as well.
He's one of those strikers. His goal record, I would suggest, is better by other players in the team. But what he does, he's a good worker for the team. He'll work as hard as he can. He'll create goals for other players. He's a striker that other strikers like to play with.
You've got to get him the right delivery, Tommy, haven't you? You've got to be on that 18-yard box and get the ball pulled back for him so he's coming onto it. He had a terrific run at Sheffield Wednesday, but then, you know, injuries prevent him reaching his real top form.
That's Lee Peacock then for Swindon. There's a real veteran now playing for Yeovil, isn't there? Marcus Stewart, still going strong. Yeah. We were talking about him the other night, and they said, oh, well, you know, at Bristol he looked like his legs had gone, but he's found them again.
Yeah, well, he's a thinker, you know, a la Sheringham and people like that. He's a thinker, and what he does, he identifies where the spaces are, situates himself in them spaces, and what he does is he hits the target with tremendous regularity. Very rarely does he thrash at things, and he's another one that's proven at the top level.
Sweet left foot, hasn't he?
He has. He's technically a very, very good player, and like Peter says, a very clever player. And if he plays in behind the front two, he doesn't need those legs that he used to have a couple of years ago. But he's only 34 years of age, so he's got several years left in him, I'm sure. I'm sat here at 36 and still playing.
It's speed of thought that counts.
Absolutely. And it must be great to play alongside someone like Marcus Stewart, mustn't it?
I think
You'd learn so much, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I think you can see he's already thinking ahead. He's not thinking about getting his first touch when he's got the ball. He's thinking about his second and third when he takes his first. So other players can run off him, and you can develop your style of football around him. And he's one of those players that he's very encouraging to the young players around, and helps the young players, and develops a style of football.
Came so close in the playoffs last season, didn't they, Yeovil, under Russell Slade. Russell's with Greg Whelan now.
Russell, 7 points from your first 4 matches. What do you think of the start you've made this season?
Too early to say, really. I think the league will settle down after 10 or 12 games. We're still feeling our way a little bit. We've got more improvement to come. Hopefully we'll show a bit more today.
You had a great season last season. In terms of mounting a promotion challenge, do you feel in some ways you're better equipped this time round?
Again, that's difficult to assess because we've had, unfortunately, 4 or 5 major injuries to senior players. So, arguably, I've not had my best team out on the pitch. But I think we're a stronger squad. Whether we're a stronger 11, I don't know yet.
Talking of injuries, you've got Terry Skiverton back, your skipper, at least on the bench. Was he close to a place in the starting lineup today?
Yeah, he's always going to be close, he's Terry, but he's played no football, that's the only thing. We'll get him in a reserve game Tuesday, but if he has to come on and do a job today, I'm sure he will.
What are you expecting today?
Tough game. I know it'll be a tough game. Bit of a honeymoon period for Swindon. They've come up, had a great season last season, got off to a good start. They're at home. We know it's going to be a tough game. So, you know, hopefully best team will win.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
You know what surprised me a little bit about Yeovil last season? You think, well, Yeovil, nice little club, you know, the fans are there and everything else. Might lack a bit of passion. Last season, in the semi-finals against Nottingham Forest, the fans here, the Yeovil fans, were incredible. They had a great semi-final, didn't they?
Oh, I've played there at Yeovil's ground as well, and it's tremendous, a great atmosphere. They do certainly get behind the side. And they play football in the right manner, as everybody was saying about Russell Slade being very direct, but Yeovil have this way of playing, very athletic side, you know, a lot of pace in it, and they've got virtually a three-pronged attack today. You know, I think we're going to see some goals.
An experienced man, Russell Slade, isn't he? He did well at Grimsby.
Yeah, he is. He's done well at each of the clubs he's been at. I think what's positive for Yeovil there is he says we're still 4 or 5 games in and he's not played his strongest 11 there. So that suggests, you know, they're unbeaten, they're up in the playoff positions, and he's not played his best players. That looks good for them.
Sometimes you get this dip, don't you, after a playoff defeat in the final next season, but they don't seem to have had that so far, do they? They seem to pick themselves up again.
Yeah, because let's be honest, no one expected to reach the dizzy heights of where they did and get through to any of them playoff situations. But
Yeovil in the Championship, can you see that really?
Well, Scunthorpe are in the Championship, aren't they, George?
Well,
you know, so there you go, and doing really well. And it's a similar, you know, ethic that's at that club. It's all cosseted. They're very much, you know, like their own thing. That the chairman and the board of directors, they all travel on the coach together and everything, and it brings everybody close together. And it's a feel-good factor with Yeovil.
What they say sometimes about West Country clubs, Tommy, isn't it? Especially as you get further down towards Plymouth, is that you can't attract the players. Is that maybe a problem as well?
I think that's always a problem for each of the clubs that are out on the limb at the various different coasts. It's always a problem to attract players. That's not travelling distance. You've got to move to the area, and sometimes when players have young families, they don't want to do that. So obviously, to attract the best players, you've got to attract them with your style of football and the success that you can. Obviously, it's optimism. You can't promise success, but with the style of football, and hopefully you're going to get some medals along the way. I think what they have done well is when Gary Johnson got them promoted through the leagues, he left to go to Bristol City. They're still progressing, which is a very, very good sign.
Yeah. I think Russell Slade is keen on that, getting the players to live around the ground, not driving hundreds of miles.
What you find with at each end of the country, the clubs, they always have a good home record, you know, because especially in the likes of League One and League Two, where sometimes you've got to travel 4 and 5 hours on the day, you haven't got the money, the financial resources to stay away from home, so you'll find they have decent home records.
Okay. Well, the new consortium, as you've seen, is in force today. Yeah, they are waiting for the game. Rufus Brevet there on the left. He's the man with the knowledge about this level of football. Jim Little in the middle was chairman of Cork, and they had a great time in Ireland. American, now he's chairman designate of Swindon. And on his left and our right there is José Veiga, who was the president of Benfica, and he did try and get involved, we believe, in Hearts a few years ago. That didn't quite work out for him, so he has tried to get involved in British football once before. So, Swindon then against Yeovil, West Country derby in Coca-Cola League One. Let's go to our commentators, Don Goodman and Ian Dark.
Should be good football played today as well. Great days for clubs along the M4. Reading in the Premier League, promotion for both Bristol clubs last season. Swindon as well, and they've made this unbeaten start upper level this time round. Team news, well, the Swindon boss Paul Sturrock agonised about pitching in a couple of his deadline signings here, Jon-Paul McGovern and Simon Cox, but he's decided to keep his unbeaten side unchanged. 9 of Swindon's promotion squad are still on duty in this starting lineup. The new additions this summer, midfield man Craig Easton from Leyton Orient and defender Hasni Al-Joffrey, who links up with Sturrock for the 4th time. Yeovil lost 2 key players in Chris Cohen and Aaron Davis in a near £1 million deal with Nottingham Forest in the summer, but 6 of their Wembley playoff final team remain, and they've added strikers Lloyd Owusu and Paul Warne, while in midfield Liverpool's Lee Peltier and Manchester United's Richie Jones have arrived on loan. Justin Cochrane is out for a month with ankle ligament damage, and Anthony Barry returns to the starting lineup here. On the substitutes bench today, Jon-Paul McGovern and Simon Cox standing by to make their Swindon League debuts, and a welcome return on the bench for Terry Skiverton, long-time servant of Yeovil, who's been with them from their conference days and is sure to return to the starting lineup soon. Teams already in the tunnel here, and both of these sides have started pretty well. Just 1 defeat between them. Yeovil have only lost once. That was on the opening day, though they did get a nasty shock at Hereford in the League Cup, where they were walloped 4-1. Manager Russell Slade said that was a good wake-up call for what is a transitional side. But you get the feeling with Swindon, as long as this takeover works out, and nobody seems that sure about it, they could be a side who are really on the up.
Yeah, they certainly could. I think that on the back of last year, where they had a most incredible season, they've started this season full of that same kind of confidence. They're undefeated, and that breeds confidence in itself, and they've already proved in the opening 4 games or so that they can certainly live in this division.
We're just waiting for the last of the referee's assistants. Whenever you're ready, fellas. West Country derby, be a good atmosphere for this. Swindon believe and hope they're going places. Yeovil think that if they get things right, they might at least make the playoffs again. So let's see how things go here. Swindon Town looking for big things at home to Yeovil, and it's coming up live for you this afternoon right here on Sky Sports.
In Coca-Cola League One, it's Swindon against Yeovil, live from the county ground. Commentators Don Goodman and Ian Dark.
Yeah, thanks a lot, George. There is Steve Mildenhall, the Yeovil goalkeeper, who made his Swindon debut in the town where he was born under Steve McMahon 10 years ago, returning today. Player of the Year for Yeovil last year. And at the other end, Phil Smith, who last faced Yeovil Town when he was in the conference with Margate. And that's how much Yeovil have risen up from non-league football only 5 years ago. They nearly made it all the way to the championship. Remember, they got to Wembley last season. Swindon getting us underway in their all-red strip here, and they've only lost 1 of their last 13 matches. They finished last season on a storming run in League Two. Rose plays it forward. This is Barry, who's back in the Yeovil side today with Justin Cochrane out for at least a month with ankle ligament damage.
I don't think Yeovil are going to be under any kind of illusions as to the difficult task they've got here this afternoon. Swindon Town, it's a notoriously difficult place to come and pick up points.
Certainly has been in recent times. Just wonder, don't you, with all this talk about the takeover and nobody seeming that sure about it, whether that gets to the players a little bit as well. Everybody wondering how that's going to turn out. It was cut out by Zaboob, who you notice wears gloves. That's not because he's cold. Apparently it's a superstition. He was wearing them in August and he's doing it in September as well.
That's very interesting. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
There was a time when you'd get the mickey taken unmercifully for that. That's Nathan Jones playing it forward. Cut out by Al Joffrey, the defender who's linked up again. There he is. Zaboob. Looks the part too, doesn't he, with the yellow boots as well. Could miss him.
Standout player.
Did a good job in Swindon's promotion team, to be fair to him. Paul Sturrock. There were one or two stories, only speculation, linking him with the Leicester City job this week, so much so that the club felt necessary to issue a statement denying that any such contact had been made. And these are the men lurking around in the background, and if there is going to be this takeover deal for Swindon, it has to happen in the next couple of days, I'm told. Otherwise, yet again, there's the risk of the place closing down.
That would be disastrous, wouldn't it? They were so close in previous times. Thanks to Willie Carson, they're still in existence.
Well, you and I had a cup of tea with Paul Sturrock, the Swindon manager, before the game, and he said, I said, who you got next week? He said, Hartlepool, if we're still here.
It's not very convincing, is it?
Sure, everything will be okay. Here's Warren. Have to play it into Marcus Stewart. Barry picking it up and quickly under a little bit of pressure there from Peacock. I know that the Swindon management team feel their side. They've drawn 3 of their 4 games. They feel that they've been dominant, playing very well, and should have more points in the bag already.
I think they've been a team that have been creating quite a few chances and not managing to convert them. 5 goals in their opening 4 league games. I think if they've had that amount of dominance, they would have hoped for more.
And Swindon fans looking to generate a bit of an atmosphere around the county ground. Good sprinkling of Yeovil supporters as well, not too far to come. The only club in Wiltshire against the only club in Somerset in the league. Here's Vincent with the cross. He's aimed towards Easton. This is Zaboob, picks it up. Man in gloves against the Glovers. Here's Rose, who only passed a fitness test yesterday to play in this game. Stewart picking it up. Caught, free kick. They know he's a danger man, Swindon, Marcus Stewart.
I think he bought the foul there. I'm not sure he hadn't overrun the ball, but he knew that it was Al Joffrey that was coming in, and he knew that he would get caught. He's bought his team a free kick. Good play.
Got a few England mentions, didn't he, in his Premiership days? Marcus Stewart, he was the second top scorer in the country one season behind Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank.
He had an amazing season that year, didn't he? Absolutely amazing.
Barry to hit one. His namesake didn't do badly for England, but that was a bit wide from Anthony Barry.
Very confident in his own ball striking ability to be taking the shot on from there. He'll get closer next time.
There's Russell Slade, former teacher who did such a good job to take Yeovil all the way to Wembley in his first season in charge. Just found Blackpool a bit too good on the day. Zaboob. Ball knocked around the corner, cleared by Forbes. Peltier. Here's Warren, who's arrived from Oldham Athletic, where he was the fans' player of the year last year. Nathan Jones. Warren again. Owusu's waiting in the middle.
That was the first time that Yeovil have been allowed to get the ball down and string one or two passes together. Just no end product, though.
Playing this quite narrow midfield, this diamond-shaped midfield that they're trying at the moment, Yeovil Town. Stewart sitting just behind the front two at the top of that diamond.
I think that just allows him to drift into the open space. And
Peacock lays this one back. We'll return to that point in a moment. There's a nasty deflection there. Could have ended up anywhere. And they've got a player down here. Yeovil Town has Stewart, I think.
It could be one of them nasty ones when you go to block a shot like this. It's very, very easy for the ball, the pace in the ball, just to twist your ankle round. I think that very well may be. Look, just there, it's twisted his ankle right round. That looks painful.
It's a good call, Don. Yeah. Have you suffered that yourself in the past? It sounded like you were wincing from an experience of that happening in a game somewhere.
You see it quite often, whether it's in training or whatever, but sometimes it's obviously not to a massive degree that you can't carry on, but that one looks particularly sore to me.
Seem to be very much in the news, don't they, one way and another? Ankle injuries, Johnny Wilkinson and so on. He won't want to lose Marcus Stewart, who he says is a shining example to the many kids they've got around at Yeovil, loving the game still.
He's a consummate professional, isn't he? Russell Slade talking to us before, saying just how professional the club operate, but he's not moving too well at the moment, Marcus Stewart.
No, he's not. I think he's really feeling that one, and it's just a question of whether he would be able to run that off. It doesn't look that good, does it, in all honesty?
No, that's not looking too promising, I have to say. Obviously, the next couple of minutes are going to give us the answers. I'm sure he's going to try and walk up and down the touchline, maybe even have a bit of a jog, but might just ease off for him with a little bit of hope.
Well, they're going to give it a minute or two because they want to give a player as influential as this, who scored for them last week in their drawn match against Tranmere, a chance. Stewart is back on. Looks a little better.
Amazing, isn't it, what that A word, adrenaline, can do for you.
But they'll be keeping a close look on him, won't they, for the next couple of minutes or so?
They will. They'll certainly monitor him from the bench. Physio will just be looking at nothing else, I'm sure.
No way through for Peltier. It was away by Eiffel for Swindon. These two clubs, by the way, separated in this morning's newspapers by 1 point and 1 place. Yeovil just ahead of Swindon. But of course they do have this game in hand, so they can make some rapid strides up the table, whoever should come out with a win, if we do have a winner, of course. Zaboub. This is out to one of the two Smiths in the Swindon side. This is Jack Smith, the right back, Phil Smith in goal. Forbes with the header. Zaboub keeps it in play. Chance to get a cross in towards Peacock. It was on the near post. It wasn't the best cross. A little extra quality needed. Richie Jones helping it forward towards Marcus Stewart. Dispossessed by Al Joffrey. Jamie Vincent up to Peacock, who can play midfield or striker. In fact, he thinks he's better as a midfield player these days. Good move here. Jack Smith stands it up towards the back post, but the goalkeeper was always going to be the boss.
It was very floated, wasn't it? Good build-up play down this right-hand side by Swindon. Christian Roberts and Jack Smith linking up very well. Just a bit floaty on the cross. That gave Milden Hall a nice easy catch at the start of the game.
Here's Warren, plenty of experience with him, and he's caught by that challenge from Jack Smith and collapses in a heap. I wonder if the referee might be about to put out a card here, or at least there's going to be a lecture, I think, for Jack Smith for this.
Once again, Warren through the tackle, knocked the ball by, and he did take a heavy blow.
Jack Smith, who's the brother of Watford's Tommy Smith. making his presence felt in more ways than one. Now, no yellow card for that. I think he's a lucky boy.
I agree. I think he's a very lucky boy because Paul Warne had outfoxed him, hadn't he? Drew the tackle, and it was a high tackle. It was a late tackle. I think he's a very lucky boy not to have a yellow card to his name for that.
Peltier. Guy was in there, the central defender. Quite full for him. Barry's won it back well for Yeovil. Just feeling their way, Yeovil Town, and you heard the manager saying beforehand that they do have a few players who are on the injured list at the moment. Skiverton, who returns to the bench today. Lee Morris, who played at Wembley, the striker. Mark Bircham, who hasn't appeared yet for them, a summer signing. Justin Cochrane is out as well.
It's unfortunate at this time of the season when you pick up injuries in pre-season and the early part of the season. It can just make you a bit disjointed, but Yeovil have reacted well at the start of the season. Got his team going, and they're now 3 games into a good unbeaten run.
Great chance, though, for Lee Peltier and Richie Jones, youngsters with Liverpool and Manchester United, respectively, to gain some vital experience of league football in that midfield. Roberts, he limps away as well, feeling the ankle. Not as bad as Stewart's one, I think. Struggling a bit.
It's going to be a good duel, isn't it? Christian Roberts, Nathan Jones on this side of the field.
It's a long throw in by Pook, who's a specialist at that kind of thing.
It's almost a new weapon in football, isn't it? This long throw. Every club seems to have somebody that can launch the ball all the way into towards the penalty spot now.
Maybe as kids they watched Dave Challoner videos from Tranmere or something. Zaboob goes an awful long way, and it arrived all the way to Eiffel, but the referee'd seen an infringement.
Actually, had seen an infringement. Saw a little bit more than me. Just looking. I think he's blown for a foul on the goalkeeper. That's all I can see there.
The Israelis weren't so lucky, were they, yesterday with their appeals for a similar kind of thing.
It's always about interpretation, isn't it?
Just a bit. It's Easton with a header. Forbes, one of the Wembley players. There he is again. He was in the same West Ham youth team as Joe Carrick and Joe Cole. Vincent with a header. Game here between two sides expected to do quite well in League One this season, but it's going to be a very competitive division. I saw a lot of it last season. There was some good football played in it, and the feeling was that the best 3 sides did get out of the division in the end. Teams who've come up from League 2 into this League 2 have started pretty well, with the exception of Walsall so far. Peacock looking to nod that down. Barry does well for Yeovil. Is Warne. Easton just overran it, having won the ball. Richie Jones. This is the Manchester United youngster to Warne. Jones again. Bags of energy, I'm told. Which appeals to the boss. He's been in the side since the opening day defeat at Huddersfield. Peltier. Stewart seems to be okay again. Nobody on the near post for him. Mayfield got it away.
Just finding 1 or 2 passes down this side, aren't they, Yeovil? Stringing it together. Ball in the box.
Barry He really fancies trying his luck from a long way, doesn't he? Today, that must have been the best part of 40 yards.
Well, when you add that to his free kick attempt, actually, as I said, must have a lot of confidence in that right boot of his.
Guy's got to win that header. He does too. Well played to Nathan Jones, making his 101st appearance today for Yeovil, the left back. What do you think so far, Don? Neither side really able to quite take command of it in midfield.
No, it's hasn't really settled down into any kind of a pattern, has it? I think Swindon know, they're fully aware they can't afford to give Yeovil space and let them get the ball down and pass. And Yeovil, well, I know that they've got a few threats to deal with in that Swindon team, so a bit of cat and mouse going on at the moment.
Could quickly change. Safely into the arms of goalkeeper Phil Smith, making a career for himself at league level, having been a non-league goalkeeper. It was Dennis Wise who gave him the trial and gave him the nod. Might be a bit tasty when Dennis Wise comes back here with Leeds United this season.
Just a little bit.
Charged down by Vincent, but goes safely back to the goalkeeper. Yes, they only lasted 5 months here, didn't they, Dennis Wise and Gus Pyatt, before they packed their bags and went to Leeds United, where, of course, they're doing some spectacular things at the start of this season.
It's an incredible start they've had, and they needed it. They are the only team in the country with a 100% winning record to the start and in the league, and they're doing very, very well.
Peltier, he wants a shot as well now, and like Barry, he hasn't quite got the radar set yet.
I think notoriously these two teams have got good defences, well-organised defences, and what we're seeing at the moment is nothing but long-range efforts, and you've got to pay testament to the quality of the defences and the fact that they're restricting either team to long-range shots.
Seems to have been an instruction, doesn't it, from Russell Slade to the Yeovil players: have a crack. Do they think the goalkeeper might be suspect? I don't know.
Oh, Russell Slade will see him in training every day, in shooting practice, and obviously one or two boys that have got that ability to smack the ball in from 25, 35 yards, and they haven't shown it yet.
Here's Warne. Now Rose. There's the energetic and much involved Anthony Barry, who probably wouldn't have started had Justin Cochrane not picked up his injury last week, because Cochrane had made a pretty bright start with Yeovil. This is Zaboob. Yeovil's ball.
He's seen quite a bit of the ball in the early stages, Zaboob. I think his manager would like him a little bit further up the field. It's all taking place in this middle third of the pitch at the minute.
Joffrey's header. Stewart tries to help it forward. Again, it's picked up by Al Joffrey. Seems to follow Paul Sturrock around, doesn't he, in his career, and we're glad to pick him up in the summer for nothing. Here's Christian Roberts. Zaboob again. Again, the delivery not really what the strikers were looking for. Blair Sturrock and Lee Peacock, the boss's son, was waiting in there for that. Didn't get it. High boot.
That's competitive. It's 1 or 2 tackles going in. It's something short of what you'd expect, though. Almost a target, but it's a bit rash there, isn't it? Rose.
Jones's challenge deemed illegal by the referee. Well won that was by Peltier in the 8th. Did appear in a Champions League game for Liverpool. Lee Peltier against Galatasaray. That was when Liverpool had already qualified, it should be said, but hey, they can't take that away.
It's not bad on the old CV, is it?
Christian Roberts, was he fouled by Nathan Jones? Yep, it's going to be a Swindon free kick.
He does well, Christian Roberts, gets his body in, knows the challenge is coming. Body in and draws the foul from Jones.
tougher kind of day this for the players. It's probably the hottest afternoon of the season so far. They could have almost had the 8th one-day international this afternoon, I think.
It's warm down there, that's for sure.
Zarboob's left foot, that's a good ball in as well. And Peacock was there, he just couldn't really reach it enough to get any direction into his header.
He pulls off the back of Scott Gaillet, doesn't he? And it's a good delivery to the far post, and Peacock just doesn't quite get it right. Just can't quite get up high enough to knock that ball back into the danger area.
He's another Paul Sturrock favourite, isn't he? Lee Peacock. He was in Sheffield Wednesday's promotion side when the Swindon manager was in charge there.
A lot of managers, aren't they? They go to a new club and they do like going back to an old club where they've had reliable, honest players that they can trust, and they bring them with them. Happens an awful lot in football.
Yeah. Better the devil you know, and all that kind of thing,
Something
I guess.
like that, yeah.
Smith to Christian Roberts. That was a very loose ball, picked up by Barry, who finds Paul Warner. Wusu's had no service at all, waits in the middle, hoping some kind of cross might find his head. It doesn't. Don, you'll appreciate this more than most as an ex-striker. Not many crumbs for the forward so far.
Yeah, no. Having to try and live off scraps, and just the final quality of that final delivery, whether it be a cross or a pass. The turnover's got to be very, very high, but neither team keeping the ball very well.
And Stewart, just to underline your point, gives it away, much to his own exasperation. Peacock, was he pushed from behind by Guy? Throw in, says the referee. Peacock thought he was fouled, wasn't he?
Yeah, the referee was in a good position to see what was going on.
Here's Roberts. This time Swindon do get the free kick.
It's another ferocious tackle. Mounting up. Said they'd have a good duel down this side, didn't I? Roberts and Jones, and
he's still down as well. Christian Roberts actually scored when these two sides met. The only ever time they have met here in the league before, and Swindon won that one 4-2. One of the few survivors from that. It was only a couple of years ago too. Here's Roberts' cross, not a good one. Al Joffrey, Vincent, Roberts couldn't really do anything with it.
That's a good diagonal ball. Just a fraction high again, like the Peacock one previously. Just a fraction high for Christian Roberts to be able to control, get up and knock that ball back into the danger area.
Eiffel wins the header. Defenders getting an easy ride so far.
I'm not sure Lloyd Owusu has actually touched the ball yet, has he?
If he has, I can't remember it, Don.
I think that really sums up the first 25 minutes. That we said it. The strikers really are living on scraps. A lot of hustle and bustle in the middle of the park, but no real quality in the final third of the pitch.
Owusu's got a good record in his career too, playing against Swindon, 4 goals in 7 matches. That's latest challenge that by Peltier. It's a yellow card for the youngster.
It's one of those where, as a defender again, you probably know that you might take a bit of a blow. Comes on the blind side. Leaves his foot in.
Andre Mariner, the referee, producing the first yellow card of the afternoon. There might have been one before that, to be honest with you. for the Swindon right back, Jack Smith. Not quite sure how he got away with that. Not that we want to be talking players into the book or anything, but it did look a bad one.
It should have been in the book. I think everybody in the ground would agree, really, but it's gone now.
Jones. Too long for Warne. Rather an exasperated look on the face of Owusu. He sort of held his hands up as if to say, is anything going to come my way sometime soon?
I was talking to him before the game and I said, I must be enjoying it. Yeovil like to get the ball down and play football. He was saying, well, now they've got me, occasionally they can look a little more route one and I can hold the ball up for them. But certainly Russell Slade's team not supplying those balls for Lloyd Owusu in the opening part of the game.
Now he's got a chance. Fed inside, and I think the rush showed.
There was an invisible player inside him, wasn't there? Obviously no communication. Certainly not a happy bunny in the start of this game.
Forbes wins the header for Yeovil. Stewart clearly shaken off the ankle problem. Jones. Well read by the defender Eiffel. Now here's Owusu using his strength to hold it up well. Stewart. Carries on with his run forward, but yeah, he does keep it in play too. I thought that was going out.
Get a nosebleed up there, won't he? Guyot. At least it's an attacking move.
Stewart feeds this wide. Here's Rose. Once a member of Arsenal's Youth Cup winning side, he was. 1994. Not many of those players have come through to be big names in the Premier League. Easton on towards Boob again. This is Pook. Jack Smith. Roberts, it's not cut out. Was there a hand there? There was. And that's just opened up something for Swindon Town. Anthony Barry, inadvertent handball, but it was.
I think he just misjudges the bounce, leans into it. Too much pace on the ball for him. Completely misreads it, and now we've got a dangerous situation.
It's strange the way things happen, isn't it? Because it was a poor ball inside, in truth, from Christian Roberts. And it's produced a handball. Catalogue of errors, and it's a free kick here, and this might well be handy for Zaboob's good left foot.
The crowd were moaning at Roberts, weren't they, because it was such a poor cross, but
they'll kick themselves if this one goes in, Yeovil, because it's a bit of a gift. Good little opportunity if they can get it right. Peacock hits it in the end and straight in the wall. They ignored the chance of the left footer. It looked like a left footer's kind of angle to Don, that, didn't it?
I saw Lee Peacock had stroked a free kick in on one of the clips before the game, so he obviously takes him and he obviously fancied it, but it's a poor effort, really.
Robert stands that up towards the back post. They're going to get another corner for that, Swindon.
He's not the biggest guy on the pitch, is he, Craig Easton? But Roberts aimed for him. Quite fortunate. Got another corner.
It's the first spell of any kind of sustained pressure we've seen from either side. Zaboob, Eiffel jumped well but didn't get to it, and it goes behind harmlessly.
One or two big lads, haven't they, Swindon? Lee Peacock, Eiffel, people like that. Obviously good in the air. Just a bit of quality needed into the box. It's Pretty average quality going in there at the moment.
Half an hour gone. I should think probably Russell Slade will be the happier with the way things have gone, simply because they're the away side here and they're not really having to absorb any kind of pressure at all from Swindon.
I'm sure he expected a little bit more at the start of this game, a little bit more pressure from Swindon on his team, but as I say, they've got a good defensive record, they're well organised, and it's showing through at the moment.
Wusu with the header on.
Almost be relieved to touch the ball, won't he, Steve Mildenhall? Neither goalkeeper really getting any game action here.
Al Joffrey wins the header. Rose picks it up. Two number 8s. Easton came out the boss, but now Barry's on the ball for Yeovil Town. Can they get some rhythm and attacking threat into their work? Peacock got a second bite of the cherry. Zaboob wants it on the left-hand side and gets it. There's a nice bit of skill. Rose made sure he didn't go any further.
Looks like he has got one or two pretty good touches, doesn't it? Nice left foot, bit of skill.
Signed for the club, Zaboob. And made 37 appearances in the promotion side. Came from FC Brussels. He's played his football all over the continent. France, Spain, Italy, Belgium.
And now Swindon.
Probably had never heard of Swindon before he signed. He has now. Easton helping this one forward. Jamie Vincent. Terrell Forbes is there. He's a Mr. Reliable at the back for Yeovil Town. In fact, he started every league game since he's joined the club. 50. Automatic pick.
That's impressive, isn't it? Especially, as we said earlier, in this day and age, modern footballers, injuries. It's a good record, that. Obviously reliable.
Flicked on towards Roberts, who got his head to it, but not enough power. Otherwise, Swindon could have been ahead. That was a fair old chance.
Well, it's a long throw, isn't it? I think it's actually a Yeovil player that flicks this on. Roberts anticipates, gets across his man. Just can't get any power on the header.
Looking to repeat his goal in this fixture a couple of seasons back. Swindon, who went down from this division and bounced straight back up again. They've played in all 4 divisions over the last decade or so. Remember when they were in the Premier League, conceding 100 goals.
I'm sure they'll love you for reminding them of that.
Pook didn't get hold of it. Scored last week.
Well, it's a shot on goal, and he's hit the target, so we're moving forward.
Did I detect a note of sarcasm in the voice there, Don?
It's been a frustrating game, isn't it, so far? No real goal-mouth action, so to speak. Both teams just defences on top.
This might take one moment to change that mood. Here's Richie Jones. Two-on-one, and Swindon come out with the ball. Pook. Good ball up to Peacock. Zaboob giving them nice balance on that left-hand side. It's aimed towards Blair Sturrock. Couldn't quite get to it. Like Owusu at the other hand, he's had scant service, the manager's son.
Yeah, not really been too heavily involved. Blair Sturrock to make that diagonal run, pulling on the shoulder of the defenders and just looking for a better delivery.
And we're talking about left-sided Swindon players. There he is, a Swindon legend, Don Rogers, 1969 League Cup final, 2 goals as Swindon, then in the 3rd division, beat Arsenal in the final. Really good player. John Trollope was in that side as well. Warren looked like it went out of play. It did. That's for a famous day, that, for Swindon Town, as was that day when they won that fantastic playoff final. I remember it against Leicester City, 4-3 to go into the Premier League when Glenn Hoddle was the player manager at that time. Of course, he didn't manage them in the Premier League the next season. That was John Gorman.
Yeah.
I think Hoddle went to Chelsea, didn't he?
He did. Incredible, isn't it? And that was in the days where every playoff final seemed to produce lots and lots of goals and excitement. It's a good final, that. I remember it.
One of the Swindon players of that era, Martin Ling, of course, doing good things with Leyton Orient so far.
Yeah, sitting proudly on top, aren't they?
Yeah. And they are Yeovil's next opponents, incidentally, at Queech Park.
A tough little run coming up, actually, Yeovil. Obviously got Orient. I know they've got to play people like Nottingham Forest, Leeds United, Luton. What a tough little run to come.
I think the division's generally tough, isn't it? These two sides just cancelling each other out at the moment, neither able to impose themselves. I think both can play better, and probably will before this is through. Here's Owusu. Zaboob is caught by Rose. He's finding him a bit of a handful over there.
Well, I think that's the 2nd time he's caught him, isn't he? Certainly Mr. Warren are going to call him over. Have a word with him. I think he's probably telling him the next time it'll be a yellow card.
Yes, I think he's had 2 of the strikes, hasn't he? Vincent in towards Peacock, couldn't quite reach it. And Nathan Jones. Peacock can't get to this. Easy for Steve Mildenhall, who's having a nice easy ride really for an away goalkeeper against a side who, let's remember, did come into this fixture unbeaten in their early games in the league.
Yeah, they're both in reasonable form, aren't they? But you can see that the attempt, Swindon just edging it, but one of those 4 saves have been of any real merit.
Zaboob plays it inside. Easton, bit of space ahead of him. Christian Roberts. On the left foot, good effort and good save. Mildenhall at last does have to stretch himself into action, and that was the best yet.
That was a save of merit. Very difficult. Down low to his left.
And the fans here need something to get them going, don't they, the Swindon fans?
Oh, they do, and that was a good effort. Christian Roberts, we know he's a sharp player. Just to cut inside 2-3 Yeovil defenders, hits the target, and I think Mildenhall probably sees that fairly late, but he gets down very, very well.
Marcus Stewart, right to Matthew Rose. Richie Jones towards Owusu, bit of danger here. A little knock from behind from Jack Smith and hit the turf. Don't know whether he had half-hearted thoughts about maybe trying to get a penalty.
Well, I think he was honest there. Lloyd Owusu bounced straight back up. He knew there's no way that was a penalty.
And it wasn't. Owusu again. Ward.
Good to see, isn't it? Because in a day and age where a lot of players take to falling over very, very easily, he was very, very honest in that situation. Just have a look at this. Smith's in the back. No real con. He just tangles his own feet up, I think. But gets straight up. Good to see.
Arrived on a free from Brentford. Lloyd Owusu had a bit of an injury-ravaged campaign there last season. Vincent with the up and under, and Mildenhall takes it almost like a fielder down at long leg in the cricket.
Well, it's an easier take than the save he had. Christian Roberts, we said, hits the target, cuts in, goes through a lot of bodies, Gets down very, very well, and it's a good strong hand to palm it away from the goal.
Pook won the ball back. Easton helps it forward. Peacock is offside. Flag was up. Must have been pretty close. A reminder of action coming up next weekend from the Championship. Plymouth against Cardiff on Sky Sports 1 and HD1. That's from 5:15 next Saturday. And that's followed on Sunday by Watford, who've made a brightish start at home to Southampton, whose form is picking up. That's Sunday, 1 o'clock, Sky Sports 1, and available in high definition as well. Owusu. We just can't get anything going at all going forward. At least Swindon did have that effort from Christian Roberts. Good hold-up play by Sturrock. Feeds in Zaboob. Peacock's waiting in the middle. Gaia, important header away. Just needed a better ball in. Zaboob, he's got another chance. And again, Gaia wins the header crucially. Now Roberts once more. Signs of Swindon belatedly sparking into life.
Yeah, it was a vital touch, wasn't it, by Gaia, just to take it off the head of Lee Peacock.
Another long throw special from Pook. Swindon, Vincent. Oh, how close was that? He was just curling away like an outswinger, and Mildenhall was very glad to see this whistle wide.
Oh, not half. Again, the long throw causing a few problems, but as it comes out, only one thing in Vincent's mind. That, oh, how close is that? It's a super strike on his left foot. Just curls away from the goal at the last minute. That is very close.
That was agonising for Swindon Town and Jamie Vincent, because that looked in all the way. You thought the net was about to bulge. It didn't. And the Yeovil fans behind that goal got a great view of that. Sturrock. Roberts. Better. Forbes wins the header. Yeovil are under a bit of pressure now, though.
I'm sure they would have expected to be, but it's just turning it up now.
Sturrock. Headers off target. But the lazy late summer's afternoon we were having here, well, I think we've been woken from our slumbers.
Yeah. Swindon just exerting that little bit of pressure that he would have expected of his players. When we talk about how hot it is down there, it looks like both teams have been very lethargic, doesn't it? That the heat may have affected them.
Poor old Russell Slade, who's missed out in the playoff finals last 2 seasons, once with Grimsby and once with Yeovil. More than any man should have to bear, really.
It's heartbreaking. He's been a playoff loser as well. Just the worst way not to go up.
Not really able to keep possession at all, Yeovil, and consequently not able to carve out any real pressure themselves or opportunities at the other end. I think Russell Slade will want an improvement in that department in the second half, although they won't be too unhappy with this scoreline.
I'm sure he would have took it before the game, getting his team in level at half-time. He knew it was going to be a tough game, and they're finding it hard to break Swindon down.
I think, to be fair to Yeovil as well, losing Chris Cohen and Aaron Davis, that was a big chunk, wasn't it? 2 key players for them from last season. I don't think either of them have played yet for Forest, by the way. Injuries. That's away by Nathan Jones. Now the play by Pook, and it's rather symptomatic of the way things have gone in this first half.
sum up that slackness that we've had, isn't it? That passing hasn't been good, not been accurate, not been crisp. Movement hasn't been good, as I said. Could be something to do with the heat, but poor first half, really.
True, but I've seen some sterile first halves before and them really come to life after the break when space starts to appear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure it'll get better.
Two minutes of added time. Not quite sure what the discussion was about there between Paul Warne and goalkeeper Phil Smith. I don't think they were talking about the economic situation for certain. Winning the header, the Aussie raised defender at the back for Yeovil, getting a long run with Terry Skiverton having been out since April, but Skiverton will be knocking on the door again now. He's on the bench today. Can't wait to get back.
He's been a top player for them, hasn't he? All the way through when they were in the conference. Proved that he can handle the league as well.
Swindon have been close on a couple of occasions as half-time has approached, but Yeovil have this free kick here in stoppage time. This might be the last action of the half. I'm pretty sure it will be. Forbes launches it forward. Peacock wins the header. Ref looks at his watch, blows for half-time. To be honest with you, not an awful lot happened for about 40 minutes then. But then Steve Mildenhall, playing against his old club, had to make a smart save from Christian Roberts. And then he was mighty glad to see a long-range effort from Jamie Vincent whistle about ½ an inch wide. Looked to be on target all the way until the last minute when it swerved away. So at half-time here, Swindon 0, Yeovil 0, and it has to improve.
Nothing between these West Country rivals at half-time. We'll get the views of Peter Beagrie and Tommy Mooney in a second, but certainly they ended the half better, Swindon, with a couple of good chances, so their fans are looking for more in the second half. Goalless at half-time at the county ground. Fantastic day on Wednesday for international football. Slovakia against Wales, 5 o'clock, Sky Sports 1. France against Scotland, 7:30, Sky Sports 1. Also on Wednesday, the Czech Republic against the Republic of Ireland, 7:30, Sky Sports 2. And Iceland against Northern Ireland, 7 o'clock, Sky Sports Extra. Here at the county ground, Swindon 0, Yeovil 0. But Swindon having the better chances towards the end of the first 45 minutes. And their new general manager on the right there, José Veiga, Portuguese consortium, being introduced to the crowd and getting a warm reception, it has to be said. Fans are just thinking, I hope his wallet is a big one. But he's certainly got a warm welcome there from the Swindon supporters at half-time, hasn't he? No goals, though, at half-time. Tommy Mooney, Peter Beagrie with us, and didn't get underway really till the last 5 or 10 minutes, did it, Peter?
No, Swindon finished the half a lot stronger, but both teams cancelling each other out. Yeovil played very, very narrow with that diamond, and that enabled sort of Swindon in the latter part of the game to get people forward and get people in wide areas. And probably one of the two outstanding chances that they had, or only two chances they had, was caused from a nice bit of link-up play and Christian Roberts getting involved from the right wing.
Sometimes systems cancel each other out, don't they, Tommy? Is that the case here or not?
I think that they're playing two different systems, but they have pretty much cancelled each other out. I think it's difficult to see where Yeovil's main threat is going to come from. They haven't got into the final third for Swindon at all. I think Swindon are very much hitting the diagonal towards Peacock, which on another day might work well for them, but today it's not doing so. They've had more joy when they've played a little bit in midfield and then moved up the field slowly rather than going more direct.
Yeovil goalkeeper Steve Mildenhall is Swindon born, And he pulled off great save, Peter, didn't he?
It was a great save, and it was a good attack. You know, it was nice, quick and incisive, right across the pitch here, and it gets played out wide, and this is where he does well. A couple of step overs inside on his left foot, not his favoured one, but he hits it through people's legs, and this is a better save than we probably give him the keeper credit for. Upsets Rose's balance, comes inside on his left foot, drills it. We see it goes past Guyot there as well. Mildenhall, 2 strong hands on it, and pushes it wide of the area, so even if someone was following up, you know, they couldn't get another shot on target. But that was one of the brightest moments of the game.
Jamie Vincent's long shot, Tommy, was a pearler, wasn't it? Almost.
It was very close. As close as we've had in the full 45 minutes. You can see that there's a long throw. He has plenty of time to set himself, strikes it very, very well, and it just bends away. I think you'll see here that Sturrock tries to touch it with his head. Any bit of contact there, it goes in the net. But a great strike.
OK, thanks, Tommy. Well, we saw earlier on, didn't we, Rufus Brevitt in the stands. Well, he's the sporting director under this new consortium that's coming in here to Swindon. He's with Greg Whelan now.
Rufus, as part of the takeover, you've taken on the role of sporting director. What exactly does that involve?
Well, it's be around the training ground, talk to the manager, and to basically just work with him and see what we can do.
Does that involve principally sort of player recruitment?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm going to be looking at players. The manager's going to be looking at players. We've got Jose on board. So, you know, it can only be good for the club.
How did you yourself actually get involved in this consortium?
I know a couple of the investors, and they had a chat with me, asked me if I'd be interested, and obviously I'm very interested.
Can you tell us any more about them? Are they football people?
They are football people. And that's all they are, football people, and they want to come in, they want to be successful, just like we all do, and hopefully we can achieve something here.
What are you looking to achieve? What is the plan for Swindon now?
I like winning football matches, and I like being successful, and if that means going up to the Championship, then that's what we're looking at doing, whether it's this season or next season, but that's the aim.
Rufus, thanks for your time.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like it is starting to come together slowly for Swindon, doesn't it? Sounds positive and optimistic. On the field, though, it's goalless at the moment at the county ground. Looking for more in the second half. 0-0, Swindon Yeovil. Coca-Cola Football League action next week is back in the Championship on Saturday. Plymouth against Cardiff, 5:15, Sky Sports 1 and HD1, that's Channel 408. And on Sunday, Watford against Southampton, 1 o'clock, Sky Sports 1 and HD1. Here at the county ground in League One, it's Swindon 0, Yeovil 0. He kept it to that score, didn't he, really, in the first half, towards the end of the first half, certainly. The Yeovil goalkeeper, born in Swindon, Steve Mildenhall. Let's go back to our commentators. It's Don Goodman and Ian Dark.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed. Swindon Town will feel that they can improve. They certainly finished the first half very strongly, and Jamie Vincent there, who hadn't scored for about 3 years since he was with Derby County, very nearly got one there at the end of the first half. Cracking effort, just wide. Swindon did get some good service towards the end of the half from their 2 wide players, Zaboob on one side and Roberts on the other. Yeovil, no real attacking threat from them so far, and Russell Slade might have 1 or 2 ideas about how to improve that in the second half. Action from the top half of League One here. No goals so far. And Yeovil starting us off in the second half on this sunny afternoon in Wiltshire. What will the bosses have said at half-time then, Don?
Well, I think Paul Sturrock, you know, he likes to get the ball out wide. He likes his wide boys to get crosses in. When you've got somebody like Lee Peacock in the middle there, you've got to get crosses into the box, and they didn't do it on a regular enough basis in the first half. I'd say Yeovil, Russell Slade, he's going to want his team to pass the ball better, pure and simple. They've barely been able to string 2 passes together, and they like to play that way. They've got to do it better.
Yes, they engineered their rise from the conference and up through the leagues as a footballing side, Yeovil Town. First under Gary Johnson, then Russell Slade. This is a Lodge-free player who did play a couple of times for Bolton in the Premier League in the dim and distant past. So long ago that Colin Todd was the boss there.
Just wondering if Marcus Stewart is going to play a little bit further forward.
Stewart helped that on. Warren. Here's Barry. He's never scored a league goal. He's trying to put that right today, Anthony Barry, but none of them have really fizzed off his foot yet.
3 long-range attempts he's had.
He grew up alongside Wayne Rooney as an Everton trainee. Anthony Barry had a nasty injury a couple of seasons back, but is happily restored to fitness and form now.
He needs to get on the training ground and practice that shooting.
Looks like the boss has had a word. He wants a few more goals out of him from midfield. He's trying. Here's Roberts. Nathan Jones with the challenge. He does have Jon-Paul McGovern breathing down his neck for that place on the right-hand side, Christian Roberts. Similarly up front, Blair Sturrock knows that Simon Cox is on loan from Reading, is waiting in the wings and on the bench today.
Well, they've got good options on the bench, haven't they, from attacking point of view, Swindon.
There is that bench. Just finishing off the half-time biscuits by the look of it. Or whatever it is they have these days. What do they eat in the
They'll tell you, carbohydrate, they'll tell you.
Yeah. I'll believe it. Was Jon-Paul McGovern, you saw that. Decent player. Player down injured here and very quickly called for attention here.
It's just an aerial challenge. Owusu. I don't know. Quite see what happened there. Did he twist his knee when he landed? It's like a heavy landing, wasn't it?
Puku's down, and 21-year-old local boy who's come through here. It's yeah, an unhappy landing.
That's pretty innocent challenge. Owusu going for the ball and flicking it on, but it's a heavy landing on that knee, isn't it?
Of course, the point I've heard it made as you hang around before games, people talk about the pitches. They are firmer these days and there's a bit less give in them, and some people have put that forward as a reason we're getting a few more cruciate knee ligament injuries, for instance. I mean, happily that hasn't happened here, but I don't know, it's a theory.
Well, I think the pitches, there's no doubt about it, they are firmer. Probably the players prefer it that way because you get good footballing playing surfaces. You don't get the old mud baths anymore, but obviously as a side effect to that, it's firmer underfoot and you can jar your ankles and Achilles and knees and all kinds of things. So it's about getting the balance right.
On the turn, Sturrock not able to keep it down.
He's frustrated, isn't he? Manager's boy, very, very frustrated.
And his dad still holds the Scottish Premier League record for a number of goals in a game for Dundee United against Morton. Cracked in 5 one day.
Happy days, eh?
Tree has to chase back.
I think Marcus Stewart is taking more of a gamble and playing a little bit further forward. Lloyd Owusu, they're obviously going to hit him and they're looking for Stewart to read the flicks and get in, but he's still limping a little bit.
He is. I was just noticing that as he ran back. Not totally free of pain, I think, from the ankle. Marcus Stewart soldiering through. Meanwhile, Christian Roberts on that left foot again. Cracks it. This time he's a long way off the target.
Well, it's nice, bright, sharp, busy play, isn't it, by Christian Roberts? 2 Yeovil defenders, cuts in between them, cuts in. It's a good effort. Just kind of slices his foot across the ball, doesn't it? And it just turns away and high, wide and handsome. But it's positive play, and that's what his manager's going to want to see from him.
I mentioned the threat of McGovern coming into the starting lineup. He's a bit of a Paul Sturrock favourite of old, but he can play on the left as well. Easton looking to help it forward. It's going to be too long for Richie Jones, who did play 5 cup games for Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. Didn't appear in the Premier League. He's away, learning his trade. Even David Beckham had to do that at Preston, remember?
Well, it's the Man United way, isn't it? And his kids certainly reap the rewards in the long term from it.
Nathan Jones in towards Marcus Stewart, trying to pick up Warren's run. Here's Zaboob. All arms and legs, but he comes out with the ball, or he does anyway until Jones gets a challenge in. Possession is having to be quarried in that midfield today.
Well, he did well more than once, probably 2 or 3 times, but then turned back into trouble. Can't afford to overdo it out there at this level.
Well played by Peacock. Easton couldn't quite bring it under control though. Yeovil, a tough nut to crack. They proved it last season. A lot of people thought they wouldn't stay up there among the playoff contenders. They did. And they produced that fantastic performance. Remember at Nottingham Forest in the semi. 5 goals in the second leg after trailing back 2 in the first at home. Warren here making progress. The Yeovil down the left-hand side. That's a bit brighter from them.
Yeah, I think Paul Warren, as I say, Marcus Stewart has pushed through the middle a little bit more. It's allowed Paul Warren to go further out on the left-hand side. And I think Owusu was crouching before. He took a blow to the head. I just wonder if he's got a little bit of a cut.
To go off last week for good with a head injury, Owusu. Here's the corner. No Owusu in there. Pook gets it away. There's a bit of extra tempo and buzz about Yeovil at the start of this half. Guy with the header. Well, it was a free header as well. It wasn't an easy one.
Well, I think he'd have been doing extremely well to score from there. Ball comes in, he finds himself an awful long way out. Might have been better advised trying to knock that down into the danger area.
Never scored in his 3-year career with Yeovil. Guyatt. Peltier. Now Rose. Owusu is going to have to return with a huge bandage on his head.
This is how he got it. It's just left elbow. As Neil Joffrey. I'm sure it's an accident, but tough, sharp elbows.
Big injury for the 2nd week running for Lloyd Owusu. It's the bit of the body he's aiming to score with as well at some point.
He won't mind if it comes off that bandage. It ends up in the back of the net.
Now Roberts is giving it a right good crack down that right-hand side for Swindon, trying to make things happen.
Competition for places. It's good, it's healthy. Certainly getting a response out of Christian Roberts.
Nice problem to have for Paul Sturrock. His side can't find a breakthrough here yet. It's this Yeovil side have only let in 3 in the league so far. They are miserly.
It's a good foundation on which to build, isn't it? Having a strong defence.
Jones did well. Peltier, the other 20-year-old in that midfield. Very little league experience between those two. Barry, who's another youngster, really. Stewart again limped off after trying to make that challenge. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to last here, you know, Don.
I think from a manager's perspective, he'll have a very, very close eye on him, because you don't know what further damage he's doing to that ankle by staying out there, Marcus Stewart. It's all right now while there's a lot of adrenaline pumping. He's going to be sore tomorrow.
It's a great tribute to his attitude that he wants to be out there. He doesn't want to hide. He wants to play, but there'll come a point where they might have to make a decision there.
I'd say so.
Owusu's on that. Looking like that character from the Faulty Towers episode when the deer collapsed on his head. Zaboob hammers it away. You remember that scene, don't you, Don?
I do. Fantastic.
Swindon are going to make a change here. Paul Sturrock comes off. And Simon Cox, who's on loan from Reading, is introduced. Another change being made as well here. And Christian Roberts, disappointed to come off. He's worked hard, and Jon-Paul McGovern comes on to make his league debut for Swindon. Part of the Sheffield Wednesday promotion side with Paul Sturrock a couple of years ago, and a near miss with MK Dons in League Two last year. It's a good signing, useful player at this level, and a proven one too, McGovern. Let's see what he can do here.
He was just getting warmed up, wasn't he, Christian Roberts? A little bit disappointed, I'm sure, but as we said, good options on the bench from Swindon. Paul Sturrock making his mind up very early that he wants to try and kick on.
I think both those two players who've come on very nearly made the starting lineup from what I could gather today. It was a close call.
It's a nice dilemma to have, isn't it? And you've got those players that can step straight in.
Just confirmation, those were tactical switches made by Swindon. Nathan Jones chipping one up. Owusu nearly got his head to it in there, and if Yeovil could just pinch one here, it really would set the cat among the pigeons. They've been on the back foot most of the time without being put under what you'd call any kind of sustained pressure, not for long anyway.
Well, no, Paul Smith in the Swindon goal. I can't really remember having him see him making any real saves, to be honest, but the longer the game goes at 0-0, Yeovil will feel they can go on and nick it.
They did win their last away match as well at Northampton, 2-1, and Owusu scored in the last minute there. Peacock couldn't quite control it. Just can't quite make it rhyme so far. Zaboob is laid out on the touchline, and the referee says play on.
Well, I'm surprised. Two things there, really. I think that was a Swindon throw-in. Zaboob did well. I'm surprised the referee let him carry on, let the play carry on, really, because he took a heavy fall onto that gravel at the side of the pitch there.
That's Andre Mariner just waved the game on and left Zaboob lying there.
He did, and then, to be fair to Yeovil, Forbes kicked the ball out of play. So it is a Swindon throw, but you would expect Swindon to give
the ball back.
Give the ball back, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that.
Yeah, Rose is too impressed with that. I wonder if he's thinking that Zaboob made a bit of a meal of it. The ref, I think, took that view as well. So it's a bit of a storm in a teacup, in all honesty. And yeah, Pook takes control and says, "Here, have the ball back."
And well done.
The little argument is settled.
We got there in the end, didn't we? But this is what leads to him being left in a heap on the gravel. He plays it, clearly comes off Rose, and he ends up sliding onto that gravel. Painful.
Zaboob's okay again anyway.
Good job he had his gloves on, eh?
And it came in handy in the end. Paul Warne. Played for Oldham as they made the semi-finals last year in the playoffs. Warne. Another side who were victims of Blackpool's great surge. Altier, his cross doesn't get in, but yeah, we're just edging their way into the argument a bit more.
For sure, definitely. A bit more adventurous. Finding each other with the passes, just putting Swindon occasionally on the back foot.
A few to aim at here as well. Guy was unable to reach it. Here he is again, the big defender. Altier goes a long way and hammered gratefully away by Al Joffrey in the end. Barry again. Warne couldn't get his volley. Swindon having a little more defending to do. Cox. He's done well. And Pook, corner. Well, Cox doing what the boss wanted him to do to add a bit more effervescence to the attack.
Yeah, for sure, and for the first time in the game, it got a little bit stretched, didn't it? Play, 1 minute we're down at the Swindon end of the game, and next minute we're up, and Swindon are attacking.
Cox did score in the Johnson's Paint Trophy match the other night when Swindon beat Brentford 4-1. Looking for another one here. Driven towards the near post. It seemed to be the idea from McGovern. His second ball in wasn't quite so good.
It's a pet hate. It's really poor when you hit the first man and you've got that quality within you. McGovern got to put better quality set pieces into that box.
So Wusu's ball forward, but there's nobody that far advanced in those green and white hoops of Yeovil Town. A couple who made their name as famed giant killers on what used to be a sloping pitch in Somerset. As a non-league team, they knocked out Sunderland when they were in the top flight. Saboud, good footwork. He can get the cross right at the end of it too. Came off a Yeovil head for a corner kick, and that's just electrified the Swindon fans a little more. Guy who's so tall, he wins a lot of those headers. Vital at the back there for Yeovil. If he is going to lose his place when Skiverton's fit again, it'll be a tough call for the boss.
He's been solid this afternoon, hasn't he? Got his head on everything.
Of course, all the while the defence is playing this well for Yeovil. Russell Slade doesn't have to rush Skiverton back.
It's true. Well, he needs game time now, Skiverton. Russell Slade already indicated he'll play him in the reserves midweek to give him that game time.
It's Peltier to swing this one in. Goalkeeper thought about going for it and didn't in the end. Made wide once again to Peltier, the Liverpool youngster on loan. That's well played by the goalkeeper, Bill Smith.
It was well played. As soon as that ball was floated, big shout, goalkeeper's ball. Took the decision away from his defenders, just what they want.
Swindon, by the way, haven't lost a home match in the league since February when Hartlepool won here. 9 games unbeaten at the county ground in league games. Charlton did win here in the League Cup this season. Russo looking to charge that down. It's worth a gamble. Anything is really with a game poised like this. Pook round the corner, trying to get Cox in behind. It didn't have the right kind of trajectory. Points are there to be won, that's for certain here.
When you think the winners of this are going to shoot up, be right on the fringe of that promotion race, 3 points valuable today.
Orient on top of this division early on in the campaign. Guyatt again. And offside there. That must have been close at the time the ball was played because it was in the air for an age.
It was a late flag. Look. Yep, it's a yard offside. It's a good call.
Peacock looks to flick it on. Easton tries to take advantage. Here's Boob again, looks more likely than most to make something happen. It's skidded into the floodlit pylon in the corner.
They're mounting up now, aren't they, these corners for Swindon? So far they haven't managed to carve out any opportunities from them.
Zaboob with the corner kick, too high for Eiffel, out to McGovern. Here's the boob once more. And Yeovil very, very tight at the back and resilient. Peacock. Smart turn and got his cross in. It's a great bit of play. Mildenhall was impeded by his own player as he tried to come for that. Still might be something. Cox on the turn. Crashed into the chest of Forbes. Hard man who hardly flinched.
Well, I think Mildenhall will be mighty relieved that this comes to nothing, because he should be taking that, but gets in a collision with his own player and drops the ball.
Ooh. Nearly broke. Easton tries to head it back in there again. Owusu gets it away and hits the back of his strike partner, Paul Warne. Bit more dynamic this from Swindon. Pook's long ball towards the back post where Peacock was waiting, and he couldn't quite get the direction. But that's better from Swindon Town, at least generating a little more heat and electricity.
Coming in now, aren't they? Crosses. Chance before here where Swindon do very, very well. Cox turns and Forbes happy to put his body on the line and get that block in. Was it near his eye? It's the upper part of his arm. Would have been harsh, but you've seen him potentially given.
Has to be intentional, doesn't it?
That's the theory. But you do see penalties that clearly aren't intentional that referees do give.
Yeah, well, it's a law, isn't it? It's written. Corner here. Here's the corner kick. Jones. Owusu couldn't quite reach it. It's Terrell Forbes. Anthony Barry, who's very hard working in that midfield. But I think he knows he's playing for his place. Richie Jones back to Nathan Jones. 14 years older than the other, the two Jones boys, and not related. Stewart. Now then, Jamie Vinson, the man who's come closest of anybody to opening the scoring so far. It's a poor ball really from the left back. Doesn't need us to tell him.
Again, just going through a little phase where both teams handing the ball back to each other. All too often for the managers, I'm sure.
Peltier. Cox. Trying to convince the boss that he should be in from the start. He's adding a bit more pace to the attack. Peltier doing what he does well, breaking up the play. Marcus Stewart just losing his footing. He's still out there carrying that ankle injury. Now here's Cox again. Peacock waits in the middle. Pook arrives. Sticks out a leg. He'll settle for the corner.
He's been solid, Guy, hasn't he? Faced with Cox running at him. Stood up, waited for his moment. Got a good toe on it.
Big defender who was sent off into West Country derbies last season against Bristol City, both games. Rose did some good work there, but they'll get another chance to put this in. Here's the boob. Steep, and it's easy for Mildenhall.
It's catch-in practice, isn't it? Big fella. He'll enjoy those all day long.
With Russell Slade at Grimsby, and the boss was quick to sign him for Yeovil when he made the move. There's Marcus Stewart. Jones. Eichel was there first. A lot of the defenders having good, solid games, but that is preventing too many chances being created.
Yeah, Both defences are very, very well organised, aren't they? Don't concede much, certainly on top.
McGovern. Well, a misunderstanding there between Mildenhall and Guyatt. Guyatt does get it away, though. Peacock with the header down. Standing firm, Yeovil Town. Zabud can do with that, and he's nearly shoved onto the cinder track as well. There again. Swindon, I think, are going to make their third and what has to be final change here. Bringing on striker Billy Paynter, who's not fit enough to start yet, is another of their recent signings. Did get 4 goals on loan at Bradford last year, having not had much of a look in at Southend. Paul Sturrock's picked Paynter up. Guy was getting pushed, and Yeovil are going to get the free kick here. Used to have a centre-half on their books called Ian Botham for a while, Yeovil Town. Alan Pardew played for them as well for a bit. Rose passes, just put his side in a little bit of a problem. Paynter, he's asked a lot of McGovern there, a bit too much. He's got his 3 deadline boys out there now. McGovern, Cox, Paynter, Paul Sturrock.
Well, we'll be looking for him to turn the game as well. Obviously, got it within him. Certainly, got the ability. Just need to apply that ability now.
It's played in towards Zabud. And some good defensive work there by Rose. He had to be there for Yeovil, and he was.
That's a terrific defensive header. Knew he was going to get a clatter as well from the back, but did his job well.
Increasing feeling that 1 goal might settle this. Zabud. Guyatt, who's a mountainous game at the back there for Yeovil, powers it away. The defender who was raised in Brisbane, Australia. Swindon Town on their way to yet another draw. They've drawn 3 out of 4 so far. The only win coming against Luton Town. Here's Zabud again.
Well, they won't want that tag, will they? So many teams get it over the course of a year, but he won't want it. Draw specialists.
Could win the pools with that, but not the division. Oh, he had to just help that over, did he, Mildenhall? He's trying to claim he didn't get a fingertip to it. It is a goal kick.
Well, it's the assistant referee that makes this decision. And I think his little finger probably just brushes that.
Or did he take his hand away? Not sure.
Certainly difficult for the officials to spot, has to be said.
It's hard for us to spot, wasn't it, to be fair? And we had a replay to look at.
There he is again, be it.
Smith. Peacock, who likes to drop it deep into midfield. That's where his future might lie. That's feeling it with the boss and maybe with the other strikers who've been signed by the club. He could be dropping into a deeper role. He's taken up a midfield role for the moment. Not quite come through to Zabud. Richie Jones for Yeovil Town. Now Marcus Stewart. Rose couldn't control it. Breaks on here. Vincent.
Well, he hasn't got much on, really.
Cox, good spin, and the referee decides he was looking for the turf and says play on.
There's been quite a lot of players actually falling over, slipping over on the turn in this second half. Referees obviously interpreted it as that.
Nathan Jones has gone a long way there, aimed it in towards Warren. It was a decent break that from Yeovil, and this time Peacock was back helping his defence.
Well, he's having to play just a little bit deeper, as you said. Good positioning from him.
Might Yeovil just nick one. In there towards Guyot. And Owusu was there as well, and he got the final touch.
I think he got his bandage on it, didn't he?
Bandage.
He's saying, it was me. Clearing up any doubt. He has had the feed on scraps. I'm not sure about that celebration, Lloyd, but he's a happy bunny.
He really is. Lloyd Owusu hasn't had much to feed on.
That's just a delivery high and into that.
Yeah, it was Owusu.
Fights his way through, doesn't he? Jumps, leaps high, leaps well. When you hit the target from that range, invariably most of the time, that happens. Ends up in the back of that net.
His fourth goal for his new club, that.
Timing is everything, they say.
Off the bandage and into the back of the net for Lloyd Owusu. Booking for Rose, who has had a warning in the first half that one more offence would knock him over.
Well, he handled the ball in all of that melee to stop Swindon getting it. Definite yellow card.
Jon-Paul McGovern. It's a disappointing cross. Huge frustration for Swindon Town on the eve of what they think will be a takeover of the club. A lot of uncertainty around. Paul Sturrock looking a worried man there alongside his sidekick Kevin Summerfield. And what do the prospective new bosses of the club think? As José Veiga, the former director of football at Benfica, and Jim Little, the American chairman designate, and Rufus Brevet, who has a consultant's role, as we were hearing at half-time. Well, this really wasn't what they came to see. Bit of a smash and grab raid by Yeovil so far.
Well, they've got 10 minutes to put it right, haven't they? Swindon Town. He'll be happy.
Can't find the cutting edge. And Swindon's resilience in what's been an untidy game so far has worked for them. They just needed a moment, and they got it too from the previously quiet Owusu.
It's a very dogged away performance, isn't it? You know, haven't really caused Swindon too many problems, but they've defended fantastically well as a team, worked really hard. Waited for their opportunity and took it when it came.
Still time though for Swindon. Nathan Jones. A few green and white shirts forward as well. Barry wants it and gets it. And here's another shot from him. Might be one to go back to the training ground, I think.
Well, he's getting further away, isn't he? That one was from about 45 yards as opposed to 40 yards previously. One thing when you do shoot from that range, though, is if it's almost like a back pass, you just hand in the opposition possession of the ball. It's not what you want to be doing at this stage of the game.
Now Rose is going to come off here, and Mark Lynch will go to right back, his natural position. He was a bit of a doubt with an ankle problem going into the weekend, Matthew Rose, so that's just caught up with him, I think, as the game's gone on. It's one of those cliches, isn't it, of a management speak after games that, you know, if you can win when you've not been at your best, it must be a good sign. Yeah, well, haven't won yet, mind.
Swindon have got to get on with it, and Yeovil, for their part, they're not going to be in a hurry to do anything, I think. But 8 minutes, they've got to just continue in the same vein, really, and be solid, organised and resilient.
Milden Hall well claimed. That's exactly what his defenders would love to see. Win can put Yeovil up to 4th place. Keeps like this. Cluster of clubs up there. Goal difference coming into it, of course. Very, very early stage of the season, but 2 away wins on the bounce. That would be great for Yeovil Town. McGovern. Now then, Zaboob. A lot of red shirts in there. Here is Zaboob. Wonderful chance. McGovern, and he's missed it. Jon-Paul McGovern had a wonderful chance there on his league debut for Swindon Town to equalise.
He can't believe it, can he? Fantastic play by Zaboob at this left-hand side. Cuts inside, spots the pullback, lays it perfectly. And McGovern just opens his body up, tries to guide it into that corner. Lifts it high. Got to hit the target.
They might not get a better opportunity than that one.
Well, it's hard to see one, the way the game's gone especially.
Well, Swindon have had 3 1-1 draws in 4 matches so far. They'd settle for that now, wouldn't they?
Oh, just a little bit, yeah. It's all on for them. They need the ball up the other end of that pitch.
Had to be kept in play. Goalkeeper didn't know whether that might have been given as a corner kick. And Yeovil got their goal from a corner. Terrell Forbes. Yeovil owing a lot to the performances of their 2 central defenders today. Coming up on Sky Sports, action from the Championship next Saturday. It's an evening kick-off. Plymouth against Cardiff, Sky Sports 1 and HD1. That's at 5:15. And then on Sunday, it's Watford who've made a good start at home to improving Southampton from 1 o'clock, Sky Sports 1 and HD1. Here, Swindon Town 0, Yeovil Town 1. Swindon's unbeaten start to the season under threat here. John, do you think all the takeover uncertainty and all the talk, I mean, the players always say, now it's our job to just get on with the game. Has it affected them a bit?
Well, as a player, it's not supposed to affect you, but certainly, you know, at this level, it's not like any of the players are multi-millionaires financially. You just don't know what's going to happen in terms of a takeover, and even sort of the people within Swindon, you know, you're not really sure what vibes are coming from the club. Certainly 1 or 2 players may be affected.
Be talks with boss Paul Sturrock, I'm sure, in the next couple of days between those 3 gentlemen you saw. Watching on with very long faces, it must be said, as are most of the Swindon fans.
They've got to appreciate, you know, Yeovil Town, you look at the season they had last year in this division, they really did fantastically well. Just missed out in the playoff final. They got over it very, very well, and they've started this season well. It was always going to be a tough game for Swindon. It's proving that way.
Paynter. Jack Smith. Eiffel tries to play it back in, but that wasn't really what Swindon wanted. They need to be able to mount some pressure because it's getting late, very late.
Well, I think they've been at their best, Swindon, when they've got the ball down, got it out wide, changed the play, opened them up and got crosses into the box. And seems quite a while ago now since McGovern had that opportunity. In fact, most of the game been played again in the middle third of the pitch.
Vincent. Could have been a different story if his first half effort had gone in as it so nearly did. Zaboob with a new opponent in Lynch, who has to give away a corner kick.
He's not happy, Lynch. He thought he was fouled, but better get back in there because he's got some defending to do.
Eiffel comes forward from the back. Here's the Zaboob corner. Out to McGovern. Driven in low, flashes across the face of goal. Only needed a touch, didn't get it. Another corner.
Is it going to be one of those days for Swindon? Could have gone anywhere, that.
Played deep, Peacock couldn't quite reach it. McGovern turns, gets it back in again. Yeovil have a player down in the area. Play goes on though. Mildenhall's going to come and get this, and he'll throw it out as well.
Well, Guyat's holding his head, and I think the referee sees him holding his head. He's got to be very, very careful letting the game go on under those circumstances. I know Swindon are on the attack, but that's what they say, isn't it? Head injuries, stop the play immediately.
Guyat, who's put in a big performance, this is how it happened.
Actually a clash with his own player, Marcus Stewart.
Yeah.
And he does go down heavy. He was hurt. It's a head injury. I think the referee should stop the play there.
Looks like it's going to be okay again. There's Terry Skiverton. It was a bit of a heartbreaker for him last season that he didn't get to play at Wembley in the playoff final because of a persistent groin injury which has recurred and prevented him starting this season as well. But he seems to be just about right now, and he would be a ready-made replacement to go into the central defence, but I don't think they'll really want to change anything. And Guyat, who's a bit of a rock and a hard man, certainly doesn't want to go off, and they don't want him to go off, I think, the way he's playing.
He's had an absolute stormer, hasn't he? He's okay. Russell Slade will be pleased about that.
All that has served the purpose for Yeovil. The interruption of just breaking up any kind of rhythm or pressure that Swindon were building at that point.
Well, it's a small thing, but Swindon have thrown the ball out of play for a goal kick. They might have been better throwing it to Mildenhall, because that would have sped the game up.
Owusu's head bandage comes off as he wins the header. Might need to pick it up again on his way back. Where is it? Ah, there it is. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think if they've got to tape it up again, he won't be going back on, because it took quite a while, to be fair.
And the bandage can claim an assist with the goal as well. Guy doesn't win the header this time. It bounces a long way. Forbes got to it, though, and then Peltier got through a lot of work in that midfield. It's not going to be a pretty win, far from it, for Yeovil Town. But it looks like it's going to move them level on points with Tranmere and Carlisle, who are sitting 3 points behind the leaders Leyton Orient. 4 minutes of added time. That's enough. Cox just turned into trouble. Forbes got it away. Owusu could have won that, but he didn't. Forget the head bandage now. We're nearly there. That's what he's thinking.
He's still smiling.
He's going to need a couple of stitches apparently afterwards. I think he'll still be smiling through those if his goal is going to prove to be the winner here, as it was in the last away game against Northampton. Easton towards Paynter. Into stoppage time. And Stewart needs to limp up. I think he's really struggling in the centre circle. soldiering on for a long time with that injury. Paynter, difficult angle, oh, nearly found its way back to Peacock. Forbes did some really good work.
It's good defending again by Yeovil, isn't it? And Forbes, good positional sense again.
Amazingly, Stewart's still out there. He's almost to Hop-along Cassidy level now.
I think he's got to come off, hasn't he?
And on comes Terry Skibberton for his first game since April. And he will, I think, just go to add another man to the barricades, won't he? Or is he going to play up front? No. No, it looks like he's going to stay up. Lynch with the long ball. This one for Owusu to chase. A lodge for when the goalkeeper just getting in a bit of a muddle for a moment. Forbes wins the header. Swindon not quite dead yet. Vincent. Paynter heads it on. Couldn't quite find McGovern, who had that great chance to equalise. He'll be kicking himself, the Scot. Yeovil Town have only created, well, how many chances throughout? They're going to walk away with the points here. Very few is the answer. It's been all down to their defensive organisation and tenacity if they do hold on. We've had 3 of the alleged 4 minutes of time to be added. This might be the last chance for Swindon.
It's now or never, isn't it?
McGovern chipped up towards Peacock. Goal kick, and that'll do just nicely for Yeovil. They're nearly there. Paul Sturrock knows it. Not what he had in mind with his side making a television appearance today.
Well, he'll be disappointed, but Russell Slade, well, he'll be delighted, as you said. Not the prettiest performance. His team look like they've got the job done.
It'll mean that Yeovil will have won 3 of their last 4 games. Eiffel hits it long. Referee looks at his watch. Peltier. Vincent, we've played over the 4 minutes now. Skibberton. Andre Mariner takes another check on the watch. He still hasn't blown. Quite sure why we're having more than the 4, but Owusu is going to take this in the corner. And that's it. Yeovil Town are up into the top 4. Wasn't pretty, but Lloyd Owusu's goal, his 4th so far in Yeovil colours, having moved from Brentford in the summer, has given Yeovil the points. It was a bit of a smash and grab raid by Russell Slade's side, but they've got the job done in this West Country derby. Those fans don't mind how it was done. They've got the points, and the men planning the takeover this week are left with long faces. Swindon Town beaten at home for the first time since February. First defeat of the season is Swindon Town 0, Yeovil 1.
All 3 points then to Yeovil, thanks to that man, Lloyd Owusu. And a connection with our first game because he was released by Brentford at the end of last season. Now he's with Yeovil, and he's winning them games. Top of the table in League One looks like this, with Yeovil now up to 4th. One of 3 teams on 10 points behind Leyton Orient, top of the table with 13. Swindon drop a place because of goal difference on this morning's papers, down to 11th. Looks like this tonight on Sky Sports. You can see the Masters Grand Final, 6:30, Sky Sports 1 and HD1, that's Channel 408. And don't forget Wednesday. Make a note of all these. Slovakia against Wales, 5 o'clock, Sky Sports 1. France against Scotland, 7:30, Sky Sports 1. And Czech Republic against Republic of Ireland, 7:30, Sky Sports 2. Iceland against Northern Ireland, 7 o'clock, Sky Sports Extra. Take your pick. Well, Swindon may feel as though they were mugged, but in truth, really, Yeovil have come here and defended superbly and taken their chance. The views of Tommy Mooney and Peter Beagrie coming right up for you. And I'm not sure they know or they realise what they've done. They're the new owners of Swindon. Swindon 0, Yeovil 1. Lloyd Owusu with the goal and then getting the shakes all over. Scott Guyatt was man the match. They're both together with Greg Whelan.
Well, Scott, an excellent win, but you had to be patient today, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. You know, we got a bit of a telling off at half-time. Weren't happy with how we performed in the first half, but you know, we were told that we had to dig in today, and they wouldn't stop coming at us, and I think that's what we did. We got another good goal from Lloyd. And it's a massive 3 points for us. It keeps that run going for us.
So good dogged away performance, wasn't it? What was the game plan today?
Well, it was more. I mean, we spoke about them before the game and sort of said that they wouldn't, you know, stop coming at us. So you know, keep putting them balls into the box. We're going to have to concentrate and make sure that, you know, if we did get a chance, we'd have to take that chance, and we did.
Let's get a quick word with the match winner. Congratulations on the goal. First of all, how's the head?
Yeah, it's okay. It's the second one I've taken in a week. Got one last week against Tranmere, but luckily today it was nothing too serious. Bit of bandage on my head, but I'm okay.
Now that's your 4th goal already in Yeovil's colours. How valuable is it as a striker to start well like that?
It's good, to be honest, because in my career this is the best sort of series I've had, and the boys have been working hard to get the opportunities for me, and I'm thankful for them, and hopefully I can keep doing it.
How much are you enjoying your time at Yeovil so far?
It's good. I mean, I appreciate everything that, especially the gaffer. I've got to give a lot of praise to him, because last year I had a dogged season, whole year out. The gaffer, Russell Slade, had faith in me, brought me down to Yeovil, and I'm enjoying it. Great bunch of lads, and I'm doing my thing.
Well, Lloyd had a bit of a knock, didn't he? You had a bit of a bash there towards the end. What happened and how were you?
Yeah, I think I copped Marcus Stewart's head, my own player. So yeah, knocked me out for, well, not knocked me out, but knocked me back for a few seconds, mate. But I realised there was only a few minutes to go, so I thought I'd carry on.
As someone who's very much part of the run to the playoffs last season, was there a concern among the squad that there might be a bit of a hangover this time round?
I mean, it is possible. I've seen it quite a few times in the past where teams have done quite well the previous season and struggled the next season. But you know, the gaffer hasn't let us sort of sit back and you know, we don't often talk about last season. That's gone now, and it was great while it lasted. But this is a new season with a new bunch of players, and you know, we've got to go forward from here.
A new season with a new bunch of players. You're already up to 4th. I know it's early days, but is it all about trying to get automatic promotion this time?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, last season I don't think anyone gave us a chance, you know, of you know, getting promotion. We came very close, and I think, you know, this season people have opened their eyes a little bit more and realised that, you know, we're a good side, good little club, you know, and there's plenty of potential there.
Well, Scott, you are the Powerade man of the match. Lloyd, if you do the honours for us, please.
Brilliant, son.
Cheers, Lloydie.
Well done, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.
Yes, Tommy Mooney and Peter Beagrie. You can see why Yeovil did so well last year and got so close to the Championship, can't you? They're a very good unit. They defend very well, and they took their chance well.
I think you can see the camaraderie they have in the dressing room there. You can see out on the football pitch, which is just how you want it. And they defended very, very well. I don't think, you know, they've won the game 1-0, which is ideal, away from home. It's a perfect result. They didn't need to go and score anymore and didn't try. So, you know, they shut up shop. I don't think Swindon gave it all their all today. I think they could have done an awful lot more in their final third. But what they had to cope with, Yeovil did very well.
Peter, you know, you can sometimes say, well, we'd like more goals. But sometimes you've got to look at the defenders and say, they've had a cracking game today, haven't they?
Absolutely. I thought the two defensive partnerships, both centre-halves, you know, from Swindon and particularly from Yeovil were brilliant today, and yeah, we thought it was a game devoid of any attacking and invention or whatever, but that was because of some great defending, positional sense. What both teams did as well, they condensed the play and pushed up because they knew that they had the pace on the strikers, and you know, these are the type of wins that really buoy you, because 1-0 away from home, all digging in together. He's saying that he got a bit of a rollicking at half time there, but when you've gone in and it's 1-0 and you've all answered the pump, fantastic feeling.
The guy was man the match, wasn't he? Let's see why. Some of the instance he was involved in. As you say, you don't win matches by, you know, scoring goals sometimes. You win matches by keeping them out, don't you?
Absolutely. A clean sheet away from home is perfect scenario. You can't lose the game with a clean sheet. And they've defended ever so well. They've put their heads in the way, their bodies in the way, and defended not just the final third, but the middle of the field as well. They've defended and stopped Swindon getting into the defensive areas.
Is that simply down to organisation, Peter? Well, they had a great shape, and what he's done in particular, he's took us some great positions, covering positions. Not only can he do his own job, but on several occasions he was coming across there and covering his left full back, and when Forbes had got pulled out a couple of times, he was doing two-man's job. He's tremendous today.
It's great to see over my dead body defending, isn't it? You know?
Oh, I think so. I think, like Peter says, you know, even the centre-halves came out of their slot and defended in the full-back areas. That suggests that they're enjoying the football and they're comfortable with their role today, and they're helping out their teammates, which is ideal.
And again, we've seen it so many times. Set piece, goal, 1-0. Thank you very much. Back on the coach. Lodewusu had a knock first, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he got a little elbow here. Unintentional, and he's just caught one. I think it needs a couple of stitches, but he went off and a little bit of repair work there. Looks like Bjorn Borg coming on. And, you know, he was back in the thick of things. Good delivery, putting in a danger area away from the keeper. And he just positions himself. There's him and Guy here could head it in. The two centre-halves, Joffrey and Eiffel, have got actually sucked under the ball. You know, too intent on getting the jump on the two, the forward and the centre-half. Got sucked underneath the ball. And they had 3v2 in that situation. Peacock has been not given a detailed job of marking. He said, right, you put yourself in a position where you were free to go and attack the ball. And he's actually got caught behind the player as well. So 3v2, but Guy, it could have headed it in. In the end, it was a Wusu who just used the pace on the ball and deflected it downwards. Good finish.
Kind of ball you'd like to attack yourself, Tommy, isn't it?
Oh, I think as a striker, if you can attack the ball, his marker was nowhere near him. Peacock, like Peter says, had a free roll and he was the closest to him. So, you know, he's used his upper body strength and put a header on target and it's gone straight in the net.
Probably Swindon's best chance came with Jon-Paul McGovern, the substitute, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, definitely. And he was involved in the build-up early on, and as the play goes on, the ball ends up coming back to him. And he's just opened his body. He's done everything right except to hit the target. You've got to work the keeper, or at least keep the ball down, because when you see that many, there's several bodies there. If he keeps it down, it could go in off a knee, a shin pad, or anything, and he's got to try and hit the target in that respect.
I think if he hits the target, it goes in.
Yeah.
You know, he's got there's pace on the ball back to him. He's side-footed it. He hits the target. It's a certain goal.
First home defeat for Swindon in the league since February. How down are they going to be?
They're going to be very down. You know, as I say, it's the first defeat, and they haven't played well at all. You know, both sides can play better and definitely will play better over the course of the season. There was a lack of creativity. I was surprised when Roberts went off because he was their main threat on that right-hand side. McGovern came on to replace him, but they have got options. They've got members in the squad that can come on and win games for them.
Yeovil taking all 3 points then. Their manager Russell Slade is with Greg now.
Well, Russell, many congratulations on the win. What did you think about the overall performance today?
Wasn't over-impressed with us, to be honest. First half, I thought Swindon had the better of it and will consider themselves a little bit unfortunate in terms of a result. But we dug in there. We did that a few times last season and managed to stay with it and got ourselves a goal.
You were perhaps a little bit slow in the first half to get going. Why do you feel that was?
Oh, no idea. You better ask them. No, I just don't. Sometimes you don't get going. You can count the games during the season on one hand where everything drops perfectly for you and things go to plan. Many games you have to dig out and work very hard off the ball, and it's about attitude. We believe that, you know, if our attitude's right, then maybe we'll get the sort of performance eventually.
That's 5 games in. That's only 3 goals conceded in the league. What credit do you give to your defence today?
Well, I thought we did very well from set plays. Scotty Guyatt and Forbesy and all the boys that were picking up and marking were doing the jobs well. But that's what they're paid to do. So, you know, I was pleased with that aspect.
The players did start the second half a little bit brighter. What was your message to them at half-time?
Well, quite simple, really. It couldn't be much worse than what it was in the first period. So I was hoping that, you know, we could get going. I changed the shape a little bit and maybe that helped give us a little bit more width in the second period. And, you know, as I say, it's about attitude, and we got on the front foot a little bit and looked a bit more of a threat without really testing their keeper until the big fella came up with the winner, of course.
That's 4 goals already for him in Yeovil colours. How good a job is he doing for you overall so far?
Very good. He looked a bit like the first Black Pope up front, didn't he? But, you know, he managed to squeeze it in. That was brilliant. Yeah, really pleased with him. He's getting stronger, getting fitter. Didn't play an awful lot of football last season, and yeah, he's going from strength to strength. He's a confidence player as well, and when you're scoring goals, then your confidence is sky high.
On the subject of strikers, Marcus Stewart was limping a little bit throughout perhaps most of that game. How is he? What did he pick up, do you know?
Yeah, an ankle problem. He's got a big lump on the side of his ankle, so I'm sure that'll keep him out of training for a day or two. He's a good lad, he's a good type, and obviously wanted to carry on for the cause and did a great job for us.
Early days, but that's 5 games and 10 points. Good platform to build from.
Yeah, I think so, but that game's gone now and you move on to the next one, and it's Orient, of course, who are flying high at the minute, so it's a good game for us at home next week, and we look forward to that challenge now.
Well done today.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Sometimes the pain of the playoffs, well, you know you've suffered it, but sometimes it can motivate you to say, well, no, we'll miss that out this time. We'll go straight up direct.
Ideal scenario, that's the case. But they would take the playoffs again. No
you think so?
About
you
that.
think they would go? Yeah.
I think they would.
Yeah.
You know, once you've taken
in the League One especially, which is so strong this year, I suppose you would say that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, but you know, they've tasted getting so close to promotion last season, and they want to do that again. But it's interesting there. You can see Russell mentions, you know, the work ethic, and their whole ethos is about their attitude and their desire, and you can see that in their performance today.
They do work very hard. OK, Paul Sturrock not very happy. We'll hear from him in a moment or two, the losing manager of Swindon. Things up in the air here, really, at the county ground. He'd like a bit more stability, I would imagine. First home league defeat since February for Swindon. Manager Paul Sturrock is with Greg now.
Well, Paul, commiserations. Did you feel you deserved something out of it today?
Well, I didn't think we allowed ourselves to play a tempo that Yeovil wanted to play today. I didn't feel that we really got out the bit. You know, it's the poorest we've played this season. There was not that zest and the passion I've seen in my team, and their attitude and will to win just didn't seem to be there today compared to the other weeks. Very frustrated and disappointed because obviously the one clear-cut chance they received the score with, and in the end, as I said, I don't think we really penetrated enough today to win the game.
Can you put your finger on why that was? Because you've had a solid start to the season, haven't you?
Yes, you know, I had a couple of sleepless nights wondering whether I stay faithful with the players that have taken us here or whether I change things up. I just don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Sometimes football does that to you, but you know, that's 3 games now that we've kind of sauntered along with the team at a time when we were winning 1-0 and drawing 0-0. And I think we've got to be a bit more, go for the jugular a bit more and be a bit more positive in our approach. But we are testing the water in this league, a lot of the players, and to be fair to them, I think now that maybe this will be hopefully a learning curve and something that might benefit us.
You did bring on your 3 deadline signings and in the second half. What do you feel they'll add to the squad overall?
Well, obviously they're proven goal scorers. You know, the two boys up front have done it in this league, and you know, last year Cox, was at Northampton, scored a few goals, and Billy twice 2 years in a row he was in double figures with Port Vale, and JP was the main goal maker, the top goal maker in the second division last year. You know, they'll have time to find their feet. You know, but in the end, as I said, you know, we've played 90 minutes there, put an awful lot of crosses in the box, and to be fair, I think they'll come to the show when they get the 90 minutes.
There's been a lot of talk, hasn't there, the last few days about this takeover, when it'll happen and so on and so forth. Do you feel that's any kind of distraction to the players at the moment?
Well, I wouldn't. They're professional people, you know, and in the end of the day, they've got to be professional in their approach. There has been a lot of humming and hawing, but there's no way we're going to use that as an excuse. Today we weren't clinical enough. Our final cross, our final finish wasn't to the standards I would want my team to achieve, and we've paid the penalty for it with a killer blow. But we'll be ready for the next one, and we've got a couple of hard games coming up now, and put an edge to the games, and we'll be there. We'll get back on the rails.
5 games in overall. How do you feel you have adapted to life in League One?
Well, apart from today, you know, the last 2 games before that, it felt like defeats because obviously we lost. There were super goals against us, and had we pushed on, we probably could be sitting here second or third top at this minute in time. But that's football. Football, sometimes the learning curve has got to be learned, and that means that a lot of people heads are down today. But we'll surface up on Monday, Tuesday, and we'll be ready for the challenge again.
Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Yeah, he makes a good point there, doesn't he, about winning promotion. And the same goes for all managers who go up. Do I keep faith with the players who've done it for me, or do I change them because it's a higher level? It's a problem for all of them, isn't it?
I think every team that's promoted has to deal with that. You know, I've played in teams in the past when you get promoted and the manager likes to give you a little bit of a head and gives you a chance. But at some point, you know, he has to improve that team, and the team has to be ready for the next division where it doesn't really
And he's
matter.
on that line now, isn't he? You can tell he's thinking about that now.
Absolutely. It's irrelevant almost, the players that got him promoted. The club now is in League One, and it has to deal with League One.
Yeah, of course, they can have loans still in the Coca-Cola Football League, can't they? So he can adjust it a wee bit.
With the emergency loan system.
Yeah.
I mean, but the 3 guys he's brought in, the likes of McGovern and Paynter and Cox, you know, he gives them options alternative at the top end of the pitch. And we've seen that, you know, they're quite solid at the back, did well defensively last year. So it's just a case of fine-tuning. And, you know, he's saying about people settling into the side. If you've got a basic formation, a 4-4-2, you're just changing like for like anyway, George, if you're happy with your formation.
OK, we started the day in League 2. It was Wickham against Brentford. And the match commentated at Adams Park, Gary Birtles and Tony Jones.
Bullock with a corner kick, looking for Johnson. Busy step, back off the underside of the bar. That was a reckless challenge by Sammy Moore.
The trickery and just frustration here. Saw the ball loose, went in.
A yellow card inevitable for that challenge. And again by Poole. It's come back off the crossbar, and that was a terrific attempt. It was Osborne's header. It's a second yellow, and that means that Moore is off. 3 times Andy Hall is making the point that perhaps Sammy Moore has made too much of a challenge.
He's first onto the ball. Made a lot of it when he was caught, but the referee on the spot there, definitely not a bookable offence.
Martin. So it's back with Bullock. Bullock goes on. He's been caught there by Basie, and that's a penalty.
Gets in the box, and he slides in. He tries to get out the way, the defender, but there is contact.
It's an opportunity here for Easter to put Wickham ahead, and he's taken that chance, and Wickham are in front.
If I say too much, I'll get into trouble, but I've got a very upset young man in my dressing room. Well, quite a few upset young men because of the defeat today, so I've no complaints with the penalty. It was a penalty and well stuck away. But the game had 0-0 written all over it, really. Just, you know, a case of something was going to happen that could swing it either way, and obviously something did. So it's a major decision from the referee. I've got a very, very distraught player, Samuel Lee's birthday the other day. If you see him, if you know him, if you train with him, you realise that, you know, he's just a pure footballer. And to be sent off in that manner, I think, is something that is very, very hard to take. So it did change the game, there's no doubt about that. And, you know, we feel very bitter about it. But there's nothing we can do. We can't appeal 2 yellows. We just have to regroup and get on with it. So it's a very hot afternoon, 11 against 11. But when you are forced to go down to 10 men through, I think, is one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in my life, then it makes it very hard.
Really, really hard conditions with the heat. I thought it was a decent game. Brentford a really decent side. Bring a big fall in, but all credit to the lads. The second half I thought were excellent.
Oh, Terry wasn't messing around there, was there? One other game in League 2 played today. It was Peterborough against Mansfield. Peterborough 2-1 winners. Josh Lowe there getting the first for Darren Ferguson's team in League 2. And Josh helped out for the second as well. But Mansfield got an equaliser through John McAliskey. Big man at the back post there, former Huddersfield player. 1-1. Peterborough 1, Mansfield 1. And then Josh Lowe helps set up the winner from Danny Crowe. So Mansfield dropped to 19th in the table. Peterborough, though, have moved up nicely into the top half of the table. They go 4th. Brentford 8th there, and Wickham 12th. So, not a bad day, is it, really? We've seen some decent football, mostly decent defending, I suppose you have to say, today.
I think throughout the day it's been defences on top. But, you know, that's no bad thing. Defending's a skill as well as attacking, and I think everybody's done that well today.
Yeah. What stood out for you today, Peter?
Well, obviously, Yeovil, it was an untypical Yeovil performance for me. Usually they're bright and inventive, good slick passing and that, and they dug in today, and that'll stand them in good stead. But it just shows you with the games that we've seen, the fine line between winning and losing. It's as simple as that. And that's how close the leagues are.
Yeah, and you could tell Terry Butcher's frustration with those 2 yellows for his man, wouldn't you? He was really upset about that.
You can see, I mean, it's a disappointing way to get somebody sent off. You know, it's not something that we want within the game, and if the referee sees it that way, then I think rightly so, he has to send him off. I'm not sure whether he did make the right decision. I think the penalty was a penalty, and Jermaine stuck it very well for his second of the season.
Do you think, I mean, Tommy said before, Yeovil top 6 they take. I mean, do you think that as well? Can they reach the top 6 again this season?
Well, yeah, if they continue that on a solid basis, because you know, they can break teams down. You know, they have got that cut and thrust up front. We didn't really see it too much today, but in Owusu and the likes of Market Stewart, who've done it at a decent level, you're getting guaranteed performance. You know, it's not luck as far as they're concerned. They're going to perform week in, week out.
OK, coming up for you on Sky Sports, looks like this. Plymouth against Cardiff next Saturday, 5:15, Sky Sports 1 HD1. And on Sunday, it's Watford against Southampton, 1 o'clock, Sky Sports 1 HD1. Masters Grand Final football tonight for you, next on Sky Sports 1. It's a really big thank you to Tommy Mooney and to Peter Beagrie. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. I really enjoyed today. We've had 2 very good and interesting games for you. Here, Yeovil have won. Lloyd's the goal scorer, Money in the Bank. Bye for now.
There's a devil at your side, but an angel on her way. Someone hit the light, 'cause there's more here to be seen. When you caught my eye, I saw everywhere I'd been, and wanna go till you came on your own. That's how you leave, with hope in your hands, and never
breathe. More sport news.